Hello. Hey. Oh, hey, Doc and both. You came in a suit for this? Hey, I got a nice-ish shirt. Hey, Echo. How's it going? Doc, why are you on both streams? Also, I thought you were working. What is this? Dude, I'm so nervous right now. I haven't been this nervous in so long. I don't even know why. I'm just afraid something's not going to go the way that I want it to. I've put so many plans. Wearing a full-on tuxedo? Perfect. Oh, you're on your way to work. Oh, man. That's not good timing. You got to call in. Well, I appreciate you coming in, Echo. Appreciate you stopping by for any amount of time, Doc. Everything is deactivated. I am going to say for this stream, there are no sound effects, no notifications. Um, if things happen, obviously I'm still going to point them out. I just don't want things being interrupted mid. You're participating in the Game Awards. Yeah, this is the Game Awards. You think you watched them 2 months ago? This is the real one. We do the. I like to do them at a good time. 2 months ago, there wasn't enough time to play all the games. It's just silly. Doesn't work like that. Anyways, it's gonna start in about 15 minutes. I just leading up until that, we're just gonna chat. We're gonna let people arrive as they want to. Hopefully I don't lose you in that 15 minutes. What can I do to not have you run away? I could explain, well, no, I have like a timeline. I literally have a Word document um, of the timeline that I'm doing certain things. That's where I'm at. Echo, yeah, I didn't know. I was a little concerned about your comment until I saw the last word. I clued in. That it gave it away there. I'm glad you included the last word. You you stopped me from being concerned for a moment. But that's okay. We're good. We're good now. Ah, man, I have so many things. So many things prepared. I'm gonna forget something, which is why I made this document to try to not forget things. Oh man. No way. Well, I mean, it was pretty vague and a little bit weird leading up until you said pals. Have you been playing a lot of Hal World? Is that how many pages? Oh, it's not very long. It's all like it's just short form like do this at this point, then this, and then after this and this, do this, after this, do this, and then this and this. It's not it's like half a page. But it's just like point form reminders. Like cue cards, one could say. You gotta get the cue cards going. Oh, whoops. Don't do that. Don't be moving stuff around. Everything is in the very specific position at the moment. We're getting somewhere. Why isn't this? Sometimes OBS a little funky. Won't let me put this anywhere. Oh, there we go. Wait, what? Sure. That didn't do what I wanted it to. No, go back to the way you were. I liked that. There we go. Audio. Okay. Jeez. Come on. There we go. Just been enjoying the scenery. Fair enough. Yeah. I played it for a bit to kind of see what it was about. It's fine. I do think it's better. Mex was saying, and it makes sense because it would be something similar to like um, Minecraft or something. That it's best played with other people. You know. But I didn't. A lot of games are like that though. Oh my god. Glad you're enjoying it though. Seems like a lot of people were. I'm wondering how long it's actually going to stick around. That's kind of the thing, isn't it? It's only good if it lasts a long time. That seems to be how it goes. Oh man, you'll be here the whole time. You know what, Max? I love you for that. Appreciate it. It's gonna be a ride. There's multiple segments. Um, yeah, I tried to make an actual show out of it. I've got I've got some interesting things planned. Was actually looking forward to this all day. Okay, I've succeeded. I've succeeded. What if I just this is the whole stream? It's just me sitting here. What if? Would you feel fulfilled in your looking forward to this all day if this is the whole stream? You're just sitting here. I put on a nice shirt. That's what I was hyping up this whole time. That's all you're getting. Doc, you got. I'd respect it. Cody. Yeah, I am trying. Look at that. I can actually like feel it. Doing my best. Um, you made the same shirt? That'd be hilarious. It's got little white lines on it, like almost like dots, but they're a little bit of a line. Doc, yeah, I'm sad as well. I will be uploading this separately. Both of these things separately. I'm going to. I'll explain later, but you will be able to watch this, Doc. I'm gonna have it uploaded. You're just not gonna see the live part, but the first half of the stream isn't live. Just gonna warn everyone right now. It's gonna be intermittently live. I'm trying to do what Alan Wake does and play with mediums. Use hello Emma. Try to use mixed media. You know? I'm gonna pull a mixed media. We're gonna have some. Oh my god! You don't even want to know how long I spent editing some of this. One of them. Well, yeah. Anyways, I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna start right at 6:30. Give people time to hours, days. Oh no, no, you're outing me. Decades. Come on, decades. Yes, decades have been leading up to this. Graystar. I've also based my schedule today around this. Oh my. You know what? You get to For that, you get to see my bottom half. Orange, orange. All orange. Giant orange socks for no reason, orange shorts. But up here, it's all professional. Okay, thank you, Megan, for the gift sub. Things are not going to appear on the screen today. I disabled all sound effects, all notifications, but thank you. There you go, Gray Star. You, love you for that as well. Slay Star. Double Guns Orange. What? Come on. You don't even want to know. Where's Hogwarts? Well, I mean, it's going to show itself at some point. And oh, geez, we're already fighting. I love how people haven't noticed until now. I finally put myself into a larger position on the screen, like a maniac. But honestly, Graystar, seriously, you and Mex, you're both saying similar things here. I feel like I've already accomplished what I wanted to, even though I haven't done anything yet. I feel good. Stream over. Get baited. Looks different? Yeah. There's something going on here. Maybe I should dye it orange. Can you tell me something? I almost my initial reaction is just say no if you're asking me. Yeah, Graystar. That's why I went out of my way to make sure to play tons of games that came out last year. I literally played so many games that came out last year, just so that I could do this stream. That's how dedicated to this one stream I am. And here we are, 5 minutes. Here, let me see if I'm gonna mess around with the lighting while I have a moment. I can change the temperature. Better like this. It's brighter in my face. It's probably better. It's just like harder on my eyes, I think. I don't look as ginger now, probably. Now it's on cool, like white, more of a white light instead of like a yellowish. I know, I thought it probably looks better. Yeah. Yeah. It's brighter like in my face, which is a good thing, but at the same time, I'm a little blue. What's going on here? Oh, they'll be Hookie! Hookie has arrived. Let's get this shake going. I'm so ready. I'm pumped. Hookie's here. I'm pumped. We got this. You're not ready. Nobody's ready. Okay, I'm hyping it up too much. Lower your expectations real quick. I am one person. The Mario Aces gang has arrived. True. Mario Tennis Aces lives on. Today, we will see the remnants. This is the Game Awards. This is just the better Game Awards. I hope everyone's aware of that. This is the real Game Awards 2 months later. Okay, I gotta point something out real quick before I fully start. I had more intentions to do more things for this stream and did not have time to do it, despite spending many amounts of time working on it. So I had some things that I wanted to make, produce, and did not. But I did what I could. You'll see when I get to that point. That's okay. So, about to start. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this moment before I actually start to take a 1-minute break. It's not canceled. No, 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 no. I think my I'd like to thank my I almost said spank. Like to spank my Patreon supporters. Hookie and Mex, Zion and Kenoth. No, nothing. Keeping me going. Oh, I'm going. All right. Oh man, okay. So, what was I gonna do first? Let's start. Welcome to whatever this is. I'm not gonna introduce because I'm already gonna introduce in the thing. There's gonna be a lot of the first half of this entire show, which is probably going to take somewhere between, if I were to guess, 2.5 hours. The first half of it is more on the pre-edited side. The second half of it is more on the live side. Okay? That's how I'm doing it. I've made a distinction. I'm not supposed to clap as someone's doing a speech. Get this man out of here. All right. So I'm going to remove myself and let myself from the past introduce myself or something. So first, yeah, please wrap it up. Yeah. Okay.
World premiere.
That was not past me. That was just, first world premiere we got is just me telling you what this show is going to be about. Kind of. So there's going to be 5 giveaways throughout the duration of this stream. They're going to be, I spread them out somewhat evenly throughout the entire show. And they are going to be available to opt in at the moment of them happening to anyone who has had or currently is somebody that's been subscribed on Twitch for 2 months or more. That's how I'm doing it. So even if you were gifted 2 subs at some point, I mean, then you're eligible. That's my rule. That's what the world premiere is. Okay, that's what I'm going with. And without that, or after that, now I will begin what I was doing. Okay. First, I'm going to run the video for like 3 seconds and get a volume check. So let me know if it's like the same volume as me, or at least similar. Hello and welcome to Yes, no. Good. Okay, okay. Perfect. All right. Sorry, past me. I'll get back to you. Let me check my notes here. I've got things written down in a certain order. All right. Hello and welcome to DG's Game Awards ceremony. I have 12 categories with 5 nominees each. So let's find out who the winners are. What game had the best art direction in 2023? My nominees are Alan Wake 2, Final Fantasy 16, Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Stars, Lies of P. And the winner is... It's Hi-Fi Rush. Come on, you knew I was gonna say that. All these other games, they're beautiful in their own way. Sea of Stars, probably my favorite looking pixel art game. It's beautiful. I love the colors. I love all the blues and the orange. Lovely. Final Fantasy 16, one of the best looking games ever. I love how they use the scale of the game to amplify the way that it looks. It's just incredible, awesome. Alan Wake 2, very unique, very creepy. I put it on here above Dead Space, which I feel like kind of goes for a similar thing. There's a lot of visual things that really mess with you. I think that's pretty awesome. And then Lies of P, just everything looks fantastic. So if you thought Bloodborne looked pretty cool, you probably think Lies of P looks pretty cool. It's a little bit more obviously in the, I don't know, steampunk direction. Anyways, Hi-Fi Rush. It might be my favorite looking game in terms of like the menus and just the way that the characters are all animated, the colors, how everything's moving. Like all of this fits into the direction visually of this game is pretty much everything I want from a video game. I don't really know, like before this, or similarly, Persona 4 started this for me where I was like, oh man, this is visually what I want a game, Persona 4 Golden I should say, is visually what I would want a game to look like. Like we don't need to go in this realistic direction. We don't need to go in some gritty direction. We don't need to make very strangely cartoony things. But this is more like, this almost takes like an anime direction, which I don't even watch anime. So that's not even where this is coming from. I just think that this art style is like perfect. And I love every aspect of it. Great job. What game in 2023 had the best sense of discovery? What? 1 second. Let me interject. I tried to pause it before that popped up. Hello, Eddie. Welcome, welcome. And yes, Graystar, it would have been robbed. The only answer there. I have to point out that Eddie and Breloom and Ice Waters all predicted on the short that Hi-Fi Rush would win that. So, congrats. You are correct. I will get into how that's going to play into anything to do with the the giveaways at the time of when that happens. Okay, let's move on. Here are my nominees. Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. What was I doing? Ho ho ho, what do we have here? I guess I gotta kill it. Cassette Beasts. I love the curious feeling of discovering a new creature and then considering how you could add it to your team. There's so many cool ones to find. Blasphemous 2. You're always within reach of a new ability or a secret area tucked away in this well-crafted and sprawling map. It's backtracking done right. Baldur's Gate 3. The possibilities feel endless with a map this expansive, yet somehow every inch has something interesting in it. How? Dave the Diver. From unique events to new fish to new areas to new plants to new weapons to new sushi recipes, there's always something to explore. And the winner is... It's Zelda? Come on, I feel like I got 2 obvious ones here back to back. All of these games do discovery in a different way and to differing degrees of excellence. The game that I almost picked here is Dave the Diver because it's just super fun to explore a little ocean area. You're always discovering new fish, new plants, new weapons, new items, new dishes, new recipes. There's just constantly just stuff everywhere, and you're constantly in a state of discovery, it feels like. But it didn't quite get there, you know? It doesn't have that, you know? Obviously, Baldur's Gate, you've got a huge sprawling map. There's plenty to discover, whether that be a fight that you might end up in accidentally, or you're finding treasure, you're finding buried treasure, you're finding different little buildings to go in, or like different ways to enter certain areas. There's plenty of different things to discover. There's also discovery in oneself. Cassette Beast does a great job as you're exploring the world. You see off in the distance, you see a new cool creature, and you're like, you know what? I wonder what would happen if I tried to combine that with this, or if I want that on my team, what might it evolve into? We also have Blasphemous 2, one of the best Metroidvanias ever, in my opinion. I think it does a great job of letting you kind of find things along the map, whether it be little hidden areas. Sometimes you gotta slide under something or break down a fake wall. That's always awesome. Love that in games. Or you're discovering things that you can't necessarily interact with yet, and then you have the awesome map tool that lets you pin things on it so that you can revisit it at a later time as you look at the map and you're like, oh yeah, there was something there. I love that. It's a great game. But the winner, it's Zelda. Breath of the Wild and now Tears of the Kingdom, I feel like at the core of these games, the point of these games is discovery. So how could this not win this category? The point is that you're in a constant state of wandering around aimlessly, and then realizing that you're not wandering around aimlessly because you're constantly finding things that are interesting. Whether that goes way down to the tiniest of things, where you find a random ass rock, and it becomes interesting because you pick it up and there's a Korok under it. Or you shoot up into the sky and then all of a sudden you've discovered a gigantic new island to mess around with, that there's probably multiple things to discover after your discovery. Every discovery leads to another discovery. There's no like single discovery. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is basically the Discovery Channel. So it wins this award. And who predicted Discovery correct with Zelda? Nobody. Nobody. Absolutely nobody. Congrats to nobody. Okay. Now, this is... Actually, let me pull myself back up. So, it's the Discovery Channel. It is. This is where I'm going to do the first giveaway. Okay? And the way this is going to work is, again, like I said, anybody who has at one point had 2 months worth or more of subscriptions to this channel is eligible if you are here at this very moment and opt in. And basically, anybody who got predictions right is going to have the ability to win more than one giveaway. Otherwise, you are only allowed to win one. That's how I'm doing it. Relum, you are eligible, yes. You are eligible. 2, actually. I honestly didn't look at that as a... well, I'll get into it later, but yes. So, the first giveaway is going to be for a $50 eShop card in honor of Zelda winning that award. $50 eShop card, first giveaway. Who would like to be entered in to win this right now? Straight up. Scion? Emma? I'm not going to say what they all are. I would suggest, if you want to win something, I would suggest opting yourself in. No, you can't. You can only actually win it. There's not going to be anything more than this, I'll tell you that. You can only win once. You can opt into as many as you want, even if you keep... Yeah. Okay, so we got... Let me make the... let me switch over to the wheel here. Okay. See, this is the part that's going to take a moment. Do that. Do that. Do this. Switch to this.
Oh, you
Bam!
yet again.
Oh, that's not supposed
You're a
to happen.
persistent one, aren't you? You silly...
Oh, thank you, Cody, for the resub. I had the alerts on this one. All right. It's going to be a pretty small amount. Also, welcome in, Scion. Can you still guess? I'm going to say no. Everything's locked in. I wouldn't worry about that, though, Brillum, for a couple reasons. So, is it just the only people opting in? I have not. Lurking and eating chili? Sweet. Love that. The only people opting in are Scion, Emma, Relum. Is that it? Oh, we got a 1 in 3 chance here to win a $50 eShop card. Does anyone else want a chance to win this? You don't have to, obviously. You just say, I opt in. Oh! Uh-oh. It's getting harder. All right. 5? Locked and loaded? Nobody else? Scion, Emma, Relum, Mex, Hookie. All right. We're just going to do this. We're not going to do this the extra suspenseful way. I'm doing it once. I'm just going to straight up pick the winner. We're not dilly-dallying. The winner. Let's just name it number 1. Or, yeah. Not changing anything. I'm just doing it. The winner of the first giveaway, a $50 eShop card, is it's gonna slow. It is Emma. No way. Congrats. I kind of thought that you'd never won. Rigged because the person that's never won one of these, despite being in many of them. All right, you are now not allowed to join any of the other ones. Well, Emma has been in a lot of them, though, Brelu. Like, almost winning many a times. I haven't been doing them recently, which is why I'm doing so many all at once. Right now, by the way. I'm just trying to give back because I always say that I like to do giveaways and stuff, and then I just kind of didn't do them for an entire year, basically. So I'm doing them all at once. Blowing my load, as some people would say. Not me, I wouldn't say that. That's disgusting. Anyways, on that note. By the way, remind me, don't look at me like that. Remind me afterwards, because I'm going to, actually, I'll write it down. So you don't have to remind me. You're actually going to get 2 $25 gift cards. I hope you don't mind. Unless that changes it. You can, if you could refuse it. If that's too much. If that's too confusing. Anyways, moving on. We got some more awards to give here. Okay. Oh, don't do this the wrong way, dummy. Oh, I did it the wrong way. Doop. 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 All right. Continue. What game balanced planning versus execution the best in 2023? My nominees are
Wild Frost, Baldur's Gate 3, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Persona 5 Tactica, Armored Core 6.
And the winner is Armored Core 6. Yes, you might have thought that I was going to say Baldur's Gate on this one, but you know what? I'm not going to do it. It was a very close second. I had to really think about this one. Of course, Baldur's Gate does this excellently. You have what feels like an endless amount of opportunities, whether it be going into a conversation, going into battle. For the most part, this applies to going into battle. You have so many ways that you can set up your party or set up the environment to then attempt to execute on something. Of course, it's not always going to go your way, but that's part of why this balance is so good. There's not some flawless system here where you can just rinse and repeat. You're constantly having to think on your toes after making a decision. I feel like I can put Persona 5 Tactica and Wild Frost in a similar spot, not quite to the grand scale of Baldur's Gate, them being more tactical games, Wild Frost being a card game, and Persona 5 being a top-down, like, tactics style game. They both do it super well. And then we have Zelda. The planning and execution aspect isn't really about fighting in this game, whereas this category would normally apply to that. More so, the planning and execution here is crafting things and hoping that what you're building is going to let you execute on your plan and you can actually arrive at your destination or solve the puzzle. That, I think, is done very well here, but there's also aspects of that were slightly annoying to me. That helped it get into the nominations here, but it definitely could not be the winner. Now, I do have to say one thing. I gave Armored Core my win here, but I have to say, in the last week or so, I picked up my final game of 2023 that is going to be on the tier list, that was not part of any of these nominations. Actually, it got into one of them, but I'd already done this nomination. That's Cobalt Core. And I kind of think I would have not only put Cobalt Core on here, probably in place of Zelda, but I think it might have won this category. So I'm gonna give a shout out. I make the rules here, you can't tell me what to do. Shout out to Cobalt Core. Similar reasons to Wild Frost because it's a deck building roguelike. It does this better than every other deck building roguelike except Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire is still #1. I'm kind of starting to think that Cobalt Core is #2. And I think that if you like this genre at all, you should really check this game out. It does a great job of helping you build your deck. You're using multiple characters. You're trying to synthesize all of these decks together. There's so many cool things, and there's different ships, and there's different ways to combine characters with your ships and different artifacts, and there's so many different things to plan for. I think they pull it off really well. So shout out to the honorary winner, Cobalt Core, but in the case of this category, I gotta give the win to Armored Core 6, which really surprised me. I've never played a mech building game at all, so I didn't know really what to expect. I was like, I don't want to be in menus all the time, that's boring. It ended up not being boring because it's just so visually interesting at the same time. Like, I have my wacky looking orange and cyan colored mech, and I'm putting parts on and off, and everything changes so drastically when you change stuff, and then you're looking at all the stats. So basically, the reason that it wins this category is because when you're fighting certain enemies, or like on certain missions, you realize, oh, I'm hitting wall after wall here. This is kind of hard. This is kind of hard. There's actually one boss very early on that just freaking walls you real hard if you're not paying attention and you don't swap out your parts. But once you do that, you're like, oh, I need to play this game differently depending on what the enemy is. And the execution always feels good. It's got that sweet, sweet FromSoft feeling of accomplishment when you take down some of these enemies. And it's awesome, and it feels even better because you have to plan it specifically beforehand, and you're constantly changing up your gear to make sure you have the right stuff for the right battle. So that's awesome. So congrats to AC6. Oh, almost. Damn, I paused it at a part where you can actually see one of my flaws where I messed up with pulling this video on screen. Sorry. Let me just get that out of the way. There, now you can't. Oh, you can still see it a little bit. Anyways, not to point out the flaw. Let's see. Did anybody predict that correctly? No. Nobody predicted I would pick AC6 for that one. Sucks. Moving on. Most innovative game of 2023.
Nominees are
Alan Wake 2. Musicals, horror, hilarity, storyboarding, psychological damage, all in my video game all at once? How? Lords of the Fallen. They really took Dark Souls times 2, literally. 2 worlds overlapping. Nice. Cocoon. What if we put a world inside another world inside another world? Also, no dialogue? Sweet. Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Grab a thing and like turn it green and just put it anywhere. Also, backtracking is now illegal. Street Fighter 6. They found ways to get someone like me into a fighting game. That's some wizardry right there. And the winner is Alan Wake 2. So we got Lords of the Fallen. It's really cool in that It doesn't pull it off perfectly, but I feel like it's at least trying to do something that's different, which again, other games have kind of messed with dimension shifting and stuff like that, but this game literally has two worlds in coexistence at the same time that you can somewhat easily swap between. There's obviously resources and stuff you have to use to do so. You can't just freely do it. So that's really cool. I really appreciate that. It makes you look at the level design in a way that you normally wouldn't in a game like a Souls-like game. Cocoon is awesome. It just does puzzles in a very simple and clean, unique way, I feel like. All you're doing is pressing one button to interact with things, but there's so many different ways for you to use that one button. It made me think about the level design. Again, it's kind of similar to Lords of the Fallen, even though it's not at all similar. How do I make my one button interaction make all of this other stuff work? So that was pretty cool. We got Zelda. The innovation here is pretty obvious. The fuse mechanic is pretty insane, the way that they use that. The ascend, which to me, ascend is like probably my favorite new mechanic in a game in a long time. I wish it was just a default thing in every game because I don't want to ever not have it. Like imagining playing like the Elden Ring DLC now and you can't just whoop somewhere. That kind of sucks. That kind of sucks. Then we have Street Fighter 6, and I literally put it on here because I feel like it had a lot of accessibility controls and just ways that it innovated on the genre to try to get new people in and actually appeal to more of a casual crowd like me to a fighting game. The winner is Alan Wake 2. So what's innovative? Not just the use of all these multimedia aspects, but how well they implement them. Because I know they've done this before. They've had live action stuff with Quantum Break, which I did not play either. And they had like live action stuff in Control, which I did play a little bit of, didn't really like it. So you've got these aspects of the game that they're pulling in that usually are not part of a video game, like just straight up playing music at the end of a chapter, which I was not expecting at all. I think that's something that did happen in Alan Wake 1, didn't know that until after. That was an awesome experience, especially the first few times it happened. I was like, man, it just really helps you just sit in this moment. So weird how that works. And then you've got the TV commercials, and then you've got the freaking event that happens that's live action. There's just so many ways that it ties in other things, and also it's innovative in the way that it presents its narrative using your board to deduce information. It just really presents the story in a way that I feel like no other game has made me interested in the story in the same way this did, and I appreciate that a lot. I feel like that comes down to Remedy being innovative in the genre in a lot of ways, so that's why I'm giving it this award. What game? I do think you should play Cocoon, yes. Correct predictions. Did anybody predict that correctly? Yes, one person did, and it was the Mex Factor. So to recap, correct predictions so far. We have one each for all four of these people. Mex, Eddie, Breloom, and Ice Waters. Just keeping track. Just keeping track. And now we are going to move on to the next part. We're going to keep rolling. Game had the most enjoyable puzzles in 2023. Here are my nominees. Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. You see that thing in your head right there? Yeah, that squishy, blobby thing. Use that. You'll figure it out eventually. Humanity. Imagine the path to victory in your head and then meticulously craft it on the board. Then just pray it works. Cocoon. This game made me feel smart. Most games don't accomplish this. They make me feel stupid. Other games bad. Sea of Stars. I love the use of verticality and perspective mixed with some isometric Zelda energy. It made areas more fun to navigate. Alan Wake 2. You know, sometimes examining the environment for clues to a little riddle is exactly what I want to do. And the winner is Cocoon. Awesome. This is a game I didn't even think I was going to like in the first place. I almost didn't play it. And here it is, winning an award. Awesome. Sea of Stars. I really like how they pulled off puzzles. Listen, I'm somebody, I don't like puzzles. Let me just put that out there first of all. I do not like puzzles. They're basically my least favorite part of every video game outside of reading text. That's probably my lowest. That's my least favorite thing. Second least favorite thing, puzzles. Anything in this category is doing something pretty amazing for me to even remotely care about it. Sea of Stars, it has pretty basic puzzles. They're not too confusing, so that's awesome. But also, it uses its environment in a cool way. You can climb, you can use the depth of the map in a way that a game from this perspective usually wouldn't use, and I really appreciate that. You have a lot of freedom of movement despite the locked-in camera, and that's probably why I enjoyed the puzzles so much, because they're pretty simple. You could really easily compare them to top-down Zelda puzzles, but in a Zelda game, there's instances where you'll do something, and then to go and interact with the object that you just moved, you have to then go around a fence, and it just wastes 2 seconds. And this game doesn't really do that. It like lets you solve an issue and then gives you a quick movement option back to where you're supposed to be going. So it flows really well, and that's why I like it so much. Then we got Zelda, which I could have given this the award, absolutely. The reason I didn't, again, I said it earlier, I don't like building things. That's also another thing I don't like. You know what, that's probably right above puzzles, maybe below it actually. I don't like building things. I know there's ways with the auto builder to kind of get around that a little bit, but I didn't use the auto builder much. To be honest, I didn't get that until like halfway through the game, so that might have had something to do with my feelings. Maybe if I got that way earlier and I used it more, I wouldn't have had as much of a problem with this stuff, and then I would have picked this as my winner. That's possible. I don't like building things. I don't like how tedious it is to physically try to move things and put them together, and when they don't work, then you have to rebuild them. Just like, I don't like that whole aspect. You think it, you put it together, you use it, it works. That puzzle structure, that's awesome. Like, that makes this game the winner to me, but like I said, it gets knocked down a peg because I don't like the actual putting it together aspect. That kind of ruins a little bit, but I love the feeling of thinking of something, crafting it, and executing on it in that way to solve a puzzle. I think it's awesome. I think Tears of the Kingdom does it better than pretty much anything. Considering how many different ways you have to solve certain things, and the fact that there is absolutely never just one solution to a puzzle, that's also awesome, and I appreciate that greatly. We've got Humanity, which I didn't play a ton of. I probably played 4 or 5 hours of it. At some point, I was just like, okay, this is too much for me. I really appreciate what this game is doing, but I can't. I could. I just don't want to keep going, because I'm somebody who doesn't like puzzles. But if I was, freaking go play this game. It's so clever. It lets you like set up these boards with different actions and stuff, and then you kind of let it play out. It's kind of like Lemmings, and it's also kind of like Captain Toad, where you're using the perspective of this little world you're kind of moving around, and you're like, how do I make this go there? But then if that does that, then I have to do this. You almost have to work backwards from your goal, and that's really cool. I think it pulls it off really well. But then we have the winner, Cocoon. It wins by being extremely pleasant and simple. Also, it makes you feel smart for doing everything, because everything feels obtuse enough that you're like, is that how you do? Oh, that is how you do it. Oh man, wow. Like, that's just the feeling I kept getting throughout the game. I just kept feeling like I was the smartest person ever. You're like, that doesn't make sense, does it? But do I just put this and then I do this and then that is the answer. It's always pretty simple, and there's not a lot of things that you have the ability to even do. So there's not a lot of options you necessarily have. It's just about kind of using your brain to figure it out. I never had to look anything up, but there was a few things I got stuck on for a bit, but it never got frustrating ever. Never frustrating. That's why it wins, because puzzles frustrate me constantly. Every other game on this list, I got frustrated at some point. And definitely games that are not on this list, I got frustrated at some point. Cocoon? No. Also, I just realized I forgot to mention Alan Wake. So the reason that Alan Wake's on this list is because I love just finding little notes and then it being like giving you a little riddle, and then you go and you kind of explore the world to figure it out and use context, just finding containers and it being like, maybe you should, if you did this and this and just the little way that it relies on you having knowledge of the environment that you are currently in, or that you've previously kind of looked around, and then you can take hints from it and be like, oh, I remember something about that, let me go look there, and then you'll find something else interesting. It kind of also, the puzzles kind of lead you around the world in an interesting way and let you find other interesting things, so that's pretty cool too. And the correct predictors of Cocoon winning the puzzle award, Breloom. Now, that means Breloom is the only one that has more than one correct prediction so far. And on that note, we move on. What was the most relaxing game of 2023? Here are my nominations. Cassette Beasts, Dave the Diver, Cocoon. Sea of Stars. Super Mario RPG. Sometimes you just want to sit down, have a good time, and not worry too much. Games can totally help do that for you, especially these ones. There may still be stressful moments, sure. You've also got peaceful, jolly music, a slow pace, and serene environments. Mix that with game mechanics that don't require too much out of you, and you've got a recipe for relaxation. The winner is Dave the Diver. Speaking of things that I don't normally like, I don't play games to relax. I like to be stressed out and challenged. I think if you are someone who appreciates more calm, relaxing, zone out, don't really think or stress too hard kind of games, these are good choices. I'm not going to expand on each one individually because I don't really think there's anything uniquely interesting to point out here. They all just let you kind of sit back on your couch, relax, and you don't have to worry too much while you're playing them. I appreciate that, even though I don't usually care about that. And I think Dave the Diver does it the best for sure, with the peaceful music, and you're just like swimming around. It's a little bit stressful, I guess, because there's sharks, and then you have to like stressfully serve a restaurant. But I mean, outside of that, it's pretty much just you're doing a lot of casual management of things, and also just it's mainly just the swimming around and the music. It just gets me going to a calming place, and that doesn't usually happen. So congrats, Dave the Diver. And there was one correct predictor of Dave the Diver. A certain someone who does not appear to be here. And that is Kinoth. Congrats, Kinoth is on the board with the correct prediction. Good job. Good job, buddy. Good job. All right. And on that note, hey, it's Ice Waters. Welcome, welcome. Oh, Ice Waters, you have one correct prediction. You are on the board with your correct prediction of. Let me just go down the list real quick. You were correct on your prediction of Hi-Fi Rush for art direction. Breloom and Uddy were also correct. We also have correct predictions for Mex, Breloom, and Kinoth, meaning all of those people have one correct, except Breloom has two correct. And then we just had Dave the Diver win most relaxing game. Kinoth got that right. And I do have to say that it is time for another giveaway of Dave the Dive on Steam specifically. Who would like to opt into a Dave the Diver giveaway on Steam? Another game will win. Awkward. What up, Blood? What up, Blood? Anybody? Anybody for a Dave the Diver Steam code? I have a feeling there might not be very many people that opt in for it. So if you do, you might just win. Yeah, well, the other thing I was going to say is that, are you allowed? Are you allowed? Yes, you're allowed. It'll be Blood versus Cody. That's it. Let's do it. Let's freaking do it. All right. That's exciting. You want a game with blood? There's blood. Didn't you see the shark? The heck? How do I do this? Now I go over here. Whoop. I got my own, look at that custom sound effect right there. Better believe it. All right. We're doing blood boiling. This is called the blood boiling. Bloody and Cody. Create. That's it. Slice repeat. A lot. Spin time a lot. Text size absurd. So you don't even know what's going on. Number 2. Steam code. That's okay, Ice Waters. You'll see. I'm purposefully not explaining exactly what the voting and the giveaway and all that stuff. I'm being very vague about what all of this means on purpose. So don't worry about if you don't really understand what's going on. I'm going to be very clear as I go throughout the day. stream here about when you can or can't win something or what. How much spin time do you want? A lot. All right. Who is winning Dave the Diver on Steam? Blood, I think you've won something before. Cody, I don't think so, but I don't really know, Cody, if you've been in the running to win anything ever. Let's find out. You can't even tell what's going on here. What is happening? At least you can see on the top. Oh, I think it's going to pass Cody. I think it's going to Bloody. Oh, it is. Bloody, Dave the Diver. Here you go. I really hope you enjoy it, sir. Give it to, oh my. What? Okay, I was going to say that beforehand. I forgot to mention, don't opt into something if you don't want to play it. This is that was fine because there was it didn't matter because it was just going to go to Cody. For the future awards, if you don't really have much intent of using what I'm giving you, please don't take it from somebody who is actually going to want it. So there you go. Cody wins. Wow, Emma and this is not rigged. The two people that I know in person have won the first two. There's still three more. It's not rigged. Okay? I swear. And now we move on to the next category. Oh, I gotta write down Cody, Dave the Diver. DTD. All right, 3 more giveaways throughout the next probably hour and a half. Gun signed Switch OLED. Okay, we're not. Let me also be clear. There is absolutely nothing better than what the first giveaway of the $50 eShop card. There is not a better giveaway. Okay. Boop. Boop. All right, yeah, sure. Let me do that. All right, moving on. What game generated the most smiles of 2023? Here are my nominees. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Look at how much fun these little guys are having. How can I not pop a grin at this? Alan Wake 2. Wait, I thought this was a horror game. Why is it so funny and weird? Remedy was not afraid to be silly. Hi-Fi Rush. Wholesome, funny, and charming all at once, wrapped up in presentation that oozes personality. Baldur's Gate 3. The situations you can find yourself in, plus the way they're written and acted out, always manage to make me chuckle. Dave the Diver. Seeing a man thoroughly enjoy making sushi for others is not something I thought I'd be so happy to experience. And the winner is... Hi-Fi Rush! Wow, I can't believe it. Listen, all these games have brought a smile to my face multiple times, okay? This is a weird category. No, it's not. It's not a weird category. I hear you saying, that's a weird category. How is that a category? What does that even mean? You know what it means. I was sitting there playing the game by myself, which normally I'm just sitting there like... But these games, what they did for me and what they can do for you is this. That's how people smile, right? I don't know. Almost gave this to Mario because it's just a joy to go through. There's constantly just silly things that they're throwing into the levels with all the wonder features, and it's like, oh my, what's gonna happen next? It's very jolly. Alan Wake 2, which you're like, that's a freaky, weird horror game. Why is that there? Because it's funny. Remedy has some comedic writers, I'll tell you that. and it's not always like overt comedy. It's just like, that's so weird or awkward, or like, what is even going on? Quite a few laughs. Laughs count as smiling. Laughing at a game is like double points in terms of most smiles generated, and that happened plenty in Alan Wake 2. Similarly, Baldur's Gate, plenty of funny writing in here, plenty of wacky situations that you can find yourself in, plenty of things where you're like, is it really gonna let me say this? And then you do, or like you say something and then somebody says something insane back to you. Then of course we have Dave the Diver, which there's some funny dialogue in here. There was little cute animations and stuff, heartwarming situations that happen a few times. Also, I just love sharks, and fish are cool, and like swimming around in an ocean. It just makes me smile. I just like doing it. And with the pleasant music, it's just like, huh. I feel like you could just casually smile throughout your entire playthrough of this. Now, the winner though, by a mile. This category secretly was designed with Hi-Fi Rush in mind, because not only is it making me smile, because there is clever writing. I think the writing in this game is fantastic. I think the acting in this game is fantastic. All of the characters are interesting. There's a lot of heartwarming stuff, similar to Dave the Diver, but you also have just hilarious people also. Hilarious situations. There's lots of like physical humor that's funny. It's almost Jim Carrey-ish with the main character Chai. I always saw it as Borderlands humor, minus the cringy stuff that it really started to delve into. The aspects of Borderlands humor that people don't like isn't really here, but the rest of it that people do like is here. I think that pulls it off great. Also, just constantly smiling because I'm literally just listening to great music and tapping my feet and bopping my head as I'm playing. I'm just constantly smiling. I can't play this game and not smile. It's impossible. This game totally runs away with this category for me, for sure. This game is a giant smile. It just projects a giant smile on your face the entire time, and you cannot get rid of it. You can't. The correct predictors of Hi-Fi Rush for most smiles generated. Breloom. Breloom now has 3 correct predictions, whereas Kinoth, Mex, Eddie, and Icewaters have 1 correct prediction. Moving on. Thank you, Eddie. Not Eddie. You're not. What? I was reading Eddie on my piece of paper. You're now Eddie, Icewaters. Thank you, Icewaters. Cody also said that earlier, too. Heck yeah. This is me try-harding over here. Next category. There won't be as much of a visual aid to this one because just based on the template for this, it wasn't really going to make... It was going to interfere with the template I've already created and was using, so bear with having to just stare at my face. But I think you'll kind of understand why, because it would break up the way that I edited it. What game had the best voice acting in 2023? Here are my nominees. Final Fantasy 16.
Stopper.
I heard it again. Someone is calling me.
Damn it, lad. That doesn't mean you have to listen.
Alan Wake 2.
Brought you the Heart Witch. Show me the terror. Saga pushed the heart through the hole in the sign. This was the key.
Hi-Fi Rush.
It's crazy! Looks like we found our AI.
This is a screensaver, Jai.
Armored Core 6.
The PCA, they're coming.
Looks like we got a little too eager, 621.
Baldur's Gate 3.
It's like she could throw me over her shoulder and carry me to safety. Should the need arise.
I'd hug you if it wouldn't scorch your skin off.
And the winner is Baldur's Gate 3. Now listen, I actually had Final Fantasy 16 written as the winner here, and I scratched it out, changed my mind, put Baldur's Gate 3. Also, I absolutely could have picked Hi-Fi Rush, because it is excellent in this category as well. Also, so is Alan Wake 2, and freaking for some reason, the voice work in Armored Core 6 is also fantastic, and it sticks out even more in that game because you never see anybody's face. You don't see any of these characters. You see some characters represented by like the mechs that they're in. Sometimes that doesn't even happen, and you're literally only hearing a voice. You have nothing to associate it with. And all the voices are just so interesting. I love them in Armored Core 6. Alan Wake, the acting's great. I think that especially Alan Wake himself does a great job with the voice acting, especially with the narration. That's some good stuff. The fact that Alan Wake and and Armored Core are as good as they are, and they're the clear 4th and 5th place on this list is crazy, because the voice acting in Final Fantasy 16 is incredible, but the problem is that it's not consistent. That's why I changed my answer as it being the winner, because Clive and Sid, 10 out of 10. Like, those two were the reason I had it as my choice for this in the first place. They're top tier. The thing is, there's also characters like Jill being at the low end. Some of the side characters are really not that great. As far as Baldur's Gate goes, all of the main cast and your companions, they're all great in terms of their voice, but then also a lot of the side characters. So I just feel like quality-wise, overall, they nailed the voice acting. And then, of course, like I said, the voice acting in Hi-Fi Rush is freaking awesome. You've got Chai and Corsica and Peppermint that all do a fantastic job. A few of the other characters also great, but they do stand out to me. Lovely cast overall. Not really anything negative to say. Baldur's Gate just does it at a bigger scale, I feel like, and that kind of gives it the edge. Overall, I don't really think that you can go wrong here. The voice acting this year was pretty top-notch, I will say. And the correct predictor of Baldur's Gate 3 was Eddie. So now we have a little bit of competition here. We got Eddie with 2 correct, Brelin with 3 correct. Congrats, congrats. Moving on. Easy dub. Not really. Man, not only would Eddie not have won that if I picked Final Fantasy, I don't think anybody else picked Final Fantasy as their prediction, but Cody would have left the stream, so that would have been awkward. Moving on. What game produced the best atmosphere in 2023? Alan Wake 2. It's creepy, sure, but there's also moments of delusion and confusion that really give this a unique overall vibe. You never know what to expect. Dave the Diver. One of the jolliest games I've ever played. Where else can you casually pet whales, savagely chop tails, and ravenously boost sales? Resident Evil 4. Horror, action, and silliness are hard to mesh together this well. The balance of tension versus feeling like a badass is struck perfectly. Hi-Fi Rush! Everything is bopping to the beat, everything is exciting, everyone is almost always having a good time. The energy is infectious. Dead Space. Claustrophobic, lonely, and downright disturbing in almost every way. It really beats you over the head with fear at every corner. And the winner is... Hi-Fi Rush. Oh, another one. Dang. We got Dead Space. Very spooky. I like how dark it is, but then you also have like the glow of the blue in a lot of areas to highlight certain things, and it really has a great sound design, which most good horror games do at this point, like the other two on this list. The sound design in particular, though, in Dead Space does a lot of heavy lifting in terms of hearing things in the distance. You can kind of hear footsteps, or you hear like screeches, or you hear like engine combustion, or like doors slamming. Like, there's lots of that ambient noise in combination with how dark and just creepy everything is as you're wandering around and how isolated you are. I think it does a fantastic job. You got a similar-ish game, Resident Evil 4. It builds up tension really well with certain enemies coming on screen, or surrounding you, or just being around you and making weird noises. It's not as claustrophobic as Dead Space, but that does happen in quite a few areas. It's a good all-around pick for this category. Then we have Alan Wake 2. It has this aspect of like, what is going on? You are constantly being messed with. It feels like your brain is like being toyed with as you're playing. At the same time, you feel like you're going a little bit insane. So that totally adds to it. You've got all the other aspects of the things I just said for the other two games done very well, but then also you're just like, what the fuck? What? On the complete opposite side, man, Dave the Diver is so jolly. Uplifting game, puts you in a good mood. And that's because of the atmosphere. It's just so peaceful, calming, and jolly. You know what also is that? At least the jolly part. I'm gonna apply jolly to both of these games. Hi-Fi Rush, dude. This is like, again, the perfect game for this category and what it's asking. Everything is moving with you. Everything is musical. Everything is exciting and happy. You're in this groove constantly. You just want to keep moving. What is atmosphere if not this surrounding feeling that you have. It's just this immense surrounding feeling of energy. And I don't know if another game has really made me feel like that. Other rhythm games, like I'll get into it, but I'm not like excited because this game is just popping with color at the same time. Everything's moving. I think that's really part of it. It kind of becomes subconscious as you're playing. You're not really thinking about the fact that everything's moving and he's snapping as you're playing, and like every character around you is bopping to the beat, and the buildings are moving and the signs and the lights are glowing in a certain pattern. Like everything is just so energetic and I love it. What? Now that Hi-Fi Rush has somehow, first of all, Eddie also predicted correctly Atmosphere, Hi-Fi Rush. Eddie now has 3 correct. So does Breloom. Uh-oh. We got a tie. Damn. All right. And also, since Hi-Fi Rush has now won a whopping 3 awards already, how about we do a giveaway? Huh? Who would like Hi-Fi Rush on Steam? Anybody interested? Is there anyone interested in a Steam code for Hi-Fi Rush? I figured that this might be an iffy one. Anybody lurking? Well, no, there's not. Yeah, Cody just bought it. Max has got it on Game Pass. Bled probably doesn't want to play it because he's too busy playing FIFA or something. Cody, you wouldn't have been able to get it anyways. What is it? Hi-Fi Rush, Eddie. Hi-Fi Rush. Eddie, I would... it seems like nobody else is going to take it. If you're genuinely kind of interested in trying it out, I mean, now would be the time to strike. You would auto-win. You don't know what you're saving for? I mean, okay. In my opinion, I don't think you'll be upset with winning Hi-Fi Rush and not what is left to come necessarily. And also you'll have competition for the other things. In my opinion. More so than with this, because people already have it or don't have a way of playing it, or yeah. No, it doesn't work like that. I have not explained how the get that stuff works, and I'm not answering that question. I'm just gonna do things as they come along the way here. I'll opt in, win, and not play. I mean, I gotta figure out if you don't think you'll play it. Damn. All right. Well, now I gotta figure out what to do with it. Yeah, it's looking very likely that it's going to Graystar. You don't have the ability to play it on a PC, Graystar? Dang it. Save it for another giveaway. Well, I'm just trying to I'm banging them all out, you know? Okay, we can not. I'll save it. I don't know what I'm saving it for. But yeah, I got it. Tucked in my back pocket. Okay. Hi-Fi Rush to nobody. That's unfortunate. Awkward. Moving on. Game of the best boss fights of 2023. My nominees are Lies of P. If you showed me some of these bosses out of context, I'd probably believe FromSoft made them. Why are they all so cool? Final Fantasy 16. What if Godzilla and God of War had a goddamn beautiful baby? Apparently, you'd get this adrenaline-filled joyride. Remnant 2. Dimension shifting and puzzle solving mid-boss fight is rarely this interesting. Lots of creative and unique ideas here. Hi-Fi Rush. When you and the boss are both timing everything you do to the beat, it really gets you going. Can every game do rhythmic boss fights, please? Blasphemous 2. Some of the best 2D boss fights around. Look out, Hollow Knight. Slick animations plus satisfying movement equals greatness. And the winner is... Final Fantasy 16. Final Fantasy 16 is really special in this regard, so I wanted to give it some love. Otherwise, we've got Remnant 2, which is a pretty solid game, but I think the bosses do stand out as some of the better parts because they have some really interesting designs going on. There's this weird boss you fight where you have to shoot certain aspects of this cube that's moving that has weak spots, and it'll crush you if you get crushed by it. It plays with a lot of different things. There's also a boss that like goes underground and shoots things at you from underneath, moves around you. There's another one that swaps dimensions on you, which is pretty crazy. There's a lot of things that are really unique to this genre, I think. Then we got Blasphemous 2, which all the bosses feel fair. I did have to redo a couple of them quite a few times, but most of them it was 2 to 3 tries and I was done with them, which is perfectly good. I like when they are difficult but not bashing your skull into the ground hard. I just think in terms of 2D action platformers, Metroidvanias, it's got some of the most solid bosses in the genre. Then I feel like there's a significant jump up on the list for these top 3 here. Liza P is gonna be like, it would be the 3rd place here, which is crazy because these bosses are freaking awesome. They're somewhat indistinguishable in a lot of cases from Software themselves, which that's the highest praise you could possibly give something to me. I think all of them have totally fair attack patterns. You can also like bust some of them up by blocking or parrying them, whatever it's called. You can kind of change up the boss. A lot of them have second forms. You've got all this, it's just super tense with how good the combat is in Liza P. It's no surprise that playing against these bosses is a lot of fun because playing the game is just a lot of fun. And I think the bosses are designed well. Then we got Hi-Fi Rush, which again, like totally could win this category. It's so, I never knew how much I wanted games to go follow a beat as you're playing them that aren't just rhythm games. It's done so well. Like all the bosses are moving to the beat, they're attacking to the beat. You know when to dodge because they're always gonna attack on beat. Also, the boss music itself behind the bosses, totally adding to the fight, obviously, because it's very important. It feels like the music is tied to the boss. It's part of the boss, which is so cool. I love it. And the boss designs themselves, they're freaking awesome. Most of them have like these bombastic personalities that you're kind of like bantering with mid-boss fight. It'll kind of pause, give you a little tension between the two of you, or something crazy happens. I love that. I love everything about the boss fights in this game. Just incredible. But then we have the winner, Final Fantasy. These boss fights are quite a spectacle. I think they pulled off what God of War pulls off all the time. I think there's just so much energy and enthusiasm in them, and you just constantly feel awesome no matter what you're doing. People think that QTEs make things worse, and I don't necessarily disagree. I just think in this game it totally works. Just the scale of the fights, some of them you're in like a human form and then you will kind of proceed to go into giant mode, and then all of a sudden you've got a totally different scale for the fight. There's a different power dynamic. All of these bosses that you're fighting have very unique visual appearances, and you also like do totally different kinds of gameplay in all these fights too. Some of them you're like running around and dodging things. Some of them you're literally flying through space. There's a lot of variety, and even though not 100% of it is purely action focused, the spectacle of it is so strong. This is gigantic scale. This is just like insane. What is going on screen right now? Of course it's gonna win best boss fights. It's like the best part of the game. Welcome, Kinoth. It's okay, you're here. That's what matters. Don't do that to your daughter, please. At least not in my name. If you're gonna do that, don't involve me. Did anybody predict Final Fantasy 16 would win this award? No. Also, you did get one prediction right so far, Kinoth, which was Dave the Diver winning most relaxing game. Congrats on that. And we're gonna move on to the next category. What game had the most fluid movement in 2023? Here are my nominees. Spider-Man 2. First swinging, now gliding. Moving around feels so good you forget you're supposed to be saving people. The Finals. Thrusting yourself upwards at a collapsing building while simultaneously getting in and out of a gunfight is thrilling. Armored Core 6. You would think that being a gigantic tank made of scrap parts would control like a nightmare. Think again, it's marvelous. Blasphemous 2. When your abilities are equally as fun and as useful in combat as in platforming sections, you did something right. Ghost Runner 2. Not only is this game's mission to make you feel cool, but it wants you to look cool while doing it. And the winner is Ghost Runner 2 in a very competitive category. So we have Spider-Man 2, which like the whole draw to these Spider-Man games is being Spider-Man, flying through the air, swinging, climbing things, jumping off things, zipping through things, whatever you're doing, you're constantly in like this state of flowing through the air or the map. Even if you're running on something, it still feels smooth. Everything's great. No complaints really about the movement in this game, and it still didn't win. So that's what we're dealing with here. Then you have the finals, same thing, dude. For a shooter, like a competitive shooter, I don't think there's ever been a competitive shooter that has felt this good to move around in. This is number one. The jump pads, the flying through the air, how the gravity works, scaling a building or falling from a building as it's collapsing, that feels good. You've got zip lines, you've got things where you can like charge through and destroy walls. There's so many things here. And even with all these abilities, these wouldn't matter if the core of just straight up walking from point A to point B was not as perfectly fluid as it is. And it is. It's number one. Like I'm saying, there's no other shooter that feels as good to move around in. Competitive shooter, I should say. We got Armored Core. Dude, it's from Software. Of course it feels good. Also, you're literally just a giant mech and you're like flowing through the air. How is that even possible? I don't know why it doesn't feel weighed down and awful and clunky. I thought it would. The dashing, thrusting forward, even if you're just moving on the ground and you're like a tank, it's still smooth. It doesn't feel awkward to move around in at all. It's awesome. Then we got Blasphemous, which probably on par with like Hollow Knight in terms of what it feels like to move around in. I'm saying that a lot, move around in. What does that even mean? You know what it means. The only thing in terms of like Metroidvanias that I would put above it is like Guacamelee. To me, that's still number one. I think that people that like Hollow Knight really should look at Blasphemous 2. 100%. But then we have the winner, Ghost Runner 2. The amount of ways you can move around, you can like blink towards things, kind of like Dishonored. You can use slow motion to like slightly adjust your movement. You're jumping from place to place. You're bouncing off walls. You're freaking zip lining to things. You're constantly doing dashes. You're like dashing through attacks to like cut down enemies. The whole game is about moving around, and it does it perfectly. Also, there's a motorcycle in this game. And there's this thing you can do where you eject yourself off of a motorcycle going like 200 kilometers an hour and then grapple hook yourself back to it to like dodge lasers. It's one of the coolest things ever, to be honest. It's pretty awesome. And guess what? Breloom again with another correct prediction. Ghost Runner 2 winning, meaning Breloom now has 4 correct predictions. Eddie with 3 correct predictions, Kinoth, Mex, and Ice Waters with 1 correct each. And moving on to what is the final category, aka the most important one. We all know, so is this one. I put the most important as the last 3. The bosses, the movement, the combat, it's all about gameplay, baby, you know that. What game had the best combat in 2023? Here are my nominees. Lies of P. When you look like you play like Sekiro and Bloodborne, I'm already in. When you actually literally do, I'm in love. Armored Core 6. Not only do the shooting and movement options feel buttery smooth, but the customization of your loadout on top, oh boy. Resident Evil 4. You've got scavenging, crafting, tense situations, tight shooting, and roundhouse kicks, and it pulls off every aspect perfectly. Baldur's Gate 3. Whether it's direct assault, messing with the environment, or using your brain to come up with something insane, Larian says go for it. Cobalt Core? Listen, deck building roguelikes are incredible. Don't you dare try to say otherwise. This might be the best one since Slay the Spire. And the winner is Lies of P. in a very competitive category once again. So Armored Core, like I've kind of said, it feels fantastic to shoot things in this game, combined with how you move around. It's got a very special loop of how you dodge things and then firing. You have 4 different weapons going at the same time, but you're like intentionally using them at specific intervals to stun your enemy in a certain way or hit a certain weak spot. Awesome stuff. You got Resident Evil 4, where you got this cool arsenal of weapons. They all have a lot of great feedback. They all work super well. The enemies are fun to kill, watching their freaking body parts go places, and then how they get destroyed when you shoot them. Some of them like evolve into other things, and then that makes the situation even more tense. You've got the roundhouse kick, which is just an awesome way to finish enemies off. Just a very satisfying game from beginning to end in terms of how it feels to shoot things, basically. I feel like if there was a runner-up here, it would probably be Baldur's Gate. I love the combat in these games, and by these games I mean Divinity Original Sin 2 and now this. By far my favorite part of these games is the fights, and like everything I do is designed to like get myself to fight pretty much everybody. Like how can I create an excuse to get into a battle with this person reasonably is basically how I play these games. I love how dynamic it is. I love controlling 4 different party members, figuring out positioning, figuring out what kind of attacks you're going to use, what order you're going to use them in. All of that planning and execution is just excellently done here. Yeah, that's why I love Larium. Then we got Cobalt Core. Similarly, I just love planning my deck. There's a lot of different characters you can mix and match with the ship that you have, with all the different cards in each deck and how they work together. And it's just a lot of fun to pull off all of these different combinations to take down your enemies as you progress through the game. And the combat's awesome. It's really simple. You're just a ship fighting another ship. Sometimes there's stuff in between you to kind of get in your way, help you, or hinder you. You're just kind of moving around using movement and attacks to take down your ship before they kill you. It works super well and I like it a lot. But the winner has to be Liza P. I mean, my favorite thing to do in a video game is hold a melee weapon, usually of the large variety, like an axe or a great sword of some sort, and smash other enemies with that weapon. That's what I want to do in a video game. And this game does that to near perfection, just like all of From Software's games do, and that's why I like them so much. I don't know how to not bring up From Software when talking about this game, because it's extremely obvious that that's the inspiration. And it's also, to me, after playing this, obvious that it is the #1 game to have pulled off actually doing that. It has some unique things too, also with mix and matching your weapon with its handle and stuff, trying to make more unique weapons, and that's really cool. But yeah, it plays super well. I just love an action game where everything is kind of heavy and is very responsive. You're swinging your weapon, your enemy swings their weapon, you're moving out of the way, you're learning patterns, you're figuring out people's weaknesses, how to take them down, all that. Perfect. Great job. Fantastic. Nobody predicted Liza P would win that category. Now I will let the video finish. Thank you for watching, and if you agree or disagree with any of my choices, make sure to let me know. Also, I just want to say that 2023 was the best year for video games of all time, and I refuse to change my opinion on that. Do you agree or disagree with that? Also, check out my other video where I go through every game that I played and I rank them from #1 to number 42 on a tier list. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Not actually seeing you later. The stream continues, baby. You want to know why?
Premiere.
Let's do an announcement. Here's an announcement for you. You ready for this one? The collaborations to end all collaborations. I don't know what that means. I am going to be at Cody's place. Nobody predicted that right. I am going to be at Cody's place all next week. And we are going to do some sort of event style stream. I don't know if I'm deeming it a streamathon of sorts. I don't know if we're going to set a time limit, if there's going to be an extendable time limit, but it's going to go for some sort of significant amount of time throughout the week, being starting next Monday. Well, probably not Monday. Either Monday or Tuesday. I don't know that we don't. Listen, this is where this falls apart a little bit, because this was all supposed to be also produced in video form, were my announcements, and that just didn't happen. So I'm just winging it. I don't have an exact day or time. I will obviously update in the Discord, but there will be some sort of streamathon of sorts. Very long, drawn out stream. Perhaps we will be playing Elden Ring. The revisiting of Elden Ring. But I will be at GotY's. We will stream. It will be a long stream. It might be multiple streams. I don't know what we're doing. Something is going to happen where we're going to stream a lot throughout the day. GotY. Daytime stream and afternoon and night. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not making any promises. Just generally. Yeah, the whole, probably not the whole week. That's all I'm going to say, is it's probably not going to be the whole week. That might be a little much, but we'll see. It's going to be a good time. So that's the announcement. That's the world premiere. One of us. All right. So that concludes the awards, meaning, and I'm not going to say exactly 100% what this means yet. Again, you got to stay tuned. But as of right now, well, it's over. Breloom had the most wins, 4 wins. Eddie, second most with 3. Then we have Kinoth, Ice Waters, and Max with 1 each. So basically, the way that I was using these is that if you got any right, if you got any right, you have the ability to win more than one giveaway. Oh yeah, that whole video is being uploaded. Well, it is uploaded. But you'll also be able to see the VOD with like the live elements. But the actual produced video by itself is going to be uploaded. And then same thing and it's not done. That's only half of it. This is only half the show. So actually, nobody has been able to use the advantage of getting any of these predicted right. But there's also another aspect to it that I'm not going to say yet. So now what do I do? Let me check my notes here. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. By the way, if anybody has any suggestions for what we should or shouldn't do for this, like, thing where I'm at GotY's and we're streaming, and I'm thinking it's probably going to be Elden Ring. Oh yeah, we're doing... Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry. That's only half. We're going. We're going. We're not going to play Suikoden 2. All right. So let's move on to the second part. And I need to keep myself on the screen now and make myself smaller. Now, this is the part, this was also going to be a fully produced video. That was the point of this. But it didn't work out that way because I ran out of time, because it took me so long to make that first thing. Like, literally, that was a 45-minute video that I just played. That took... Because it also included the shorts, so I'm including the editing of the shorts in the video. Like, that was like a month of editing. How many hours? I don't know. Probably like... I don't know, just a random number, like maybe 100, I don't know. Something very high. So I was also going to do that with this, but I instead had to opt for not doing that because I could not. So we have a lightly edited video here that I am going to talk about live as it's happening. Exactly, Graystar. And also, let me just point out, I want editing to be my job. I would love to do that. I want to edit for people. This is why I'm practicing on my own stuff so that I can get better at it. Because I want to be an video editor. So this is my resume. Thank you. Okay. And I definitely got better over the past month, I can tell you that. Not perfect at all, obviously, but I'm doing something. Something's happening. Okay, we're gonna start off here. So basically, this is the Game of the Year tier list. I did this last year for 2022, if you'll remember. The only thing in S tier was Elden Ring. And then there was then we had after that was like God of War Ragnarok and Rogue Legacy 2 and Need for Speed Unbound and Nobody Saves the World and Neon White, I think. That was the top. I'll do it, Brenlum. It ain't free though. Can't do it for free. Okay. So now we're gonna do. Okay. So what I have to point out here. Hold on. I wrote a little thing. I'm just gonna read it straight up. Yeah, I'm just gonna read this. Forgive me for my actual reading of a script, but I'm doing it. Hello and welcome to DG'z 2023 game ranking tier list. What you're seeing is a list. No. What you're seeing is all the games I played that released last year. I say that as if you can see them and you can't see them yet. Anyways, it is important to note that I did not complete every game. Of the 42 games, I beat 26 of them. 5 of them are multiplayer centric. That leaves about 11 that I did not finish. You'll notice a trend that most of those are sitting at the bottom of the list, since my lack of completion is mostly due to lack of enjoyment. Welcome on in, Paper Mario. Well, you did miss the entirety of the edited video, but I will post that separately. You can watch that afterwards if you want. I did all the awards. Now I'm doing the tier list. This is the second half of the show. But welcome. All right. So without further ado, keep in mind the bottom. Okay. Just bear with me for the first however long, 20, 30 minutes of this, because it's going to be very negative. Just warning you, I'm starting from the bottom. I'm not going to be nice. But somewhat quickly up the list, it's going to be a good time because there's an insane amount of good games that came out last year. Okay? Just warning you. So let's do this. I'm going to start this. Let's find out what is in last place on this dear tier list. I don't know. It's only up. What the dude? I went into this game thinking that it was going to be a so bad it's good, and I'm gonna get some laughs and some fun out of this. Because it's a meme. I only played it because I was playing it on stream. And it's just straight up not good. Also, because it's only on PC, you had to play with a mouse and keyboard, and that's cursed because why would you play a game? Why would you play a game with a keyboard and move around using buttons and not a control stick? First of all, let's just get that out of here. Let's just put that out. Why are we moving around with a D-pad in a 3D game? Why are we doing this? We don't do this. So I tried partially using a controller. That was horrible because it's not optimized for a controller. So it was just a disaster. Bad game. Okay? That's all it is. Moving on. No, there's not a games list. Atomic Heart. I was really thinking going into 2023, this was one of the games I was looking at that I was like, you know what, this kind of looks interesting. I'm pretty interested in this. It's by a Russian developer. You don't really see that very often, if at all. And it looked kind of like BioShock. And I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to try that out. No, controls poorly, didn't run very well. Everything about it was just mediocre. Did not have anything redeeming about it. Very forgettable. Bad game. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Chia! I only played this because it popped up on PlayStation Plus, and I was like, hey, another game to add to the list. I was, at the end of the year... Okay, you're going to notice a couple games on here are totally only on here so that I make the list bigger than it really needs to be. Because I barely played this game. I played it for like an hour. Controlled very poorly. I like what they're... I respect what they're doing. Obviously, they're like a small team, and it's like a passion project, so I don't really want to shit on it because that seems mean because of what kind of game it is. So I'm not going to do that. I just did not care for it whatsoever. It kind of tries to be like a Zelda. It's kind of a little bit like Breath of the Wild, a little bit, but it's like very small scale, and I just did not like the way that it controlled. You're gonna notice that that is a recurring theme, is that when I don't like a game, it's because of the way that it controls, and that's what we had here. I don't want to say too much about it because it would just be mean. I don't want to be mean. I don't want to. Now I'll be mean because people really like this game and I don't understand it. Pizza Tower is not fun. Pizza Tower is not good. Okay. No, let me put this a different way. I don't understand Pizza Tower whatsoever. This is one of the games where I feel like it is a good game. This is not for me. I don't say that very much. Usually I'm just like, no, this game sucks. But I'm gonna be honest. It's just not for me. I do not like games that appear to be like Sonic. This was the first and only time I've ever refunded a game on Steam. I had played it for just under the 2-hour mark, and I was like, heck yeah, get rid of that. So I did. I was not a fan of the way that it controlled, and I don't like games that play like Sonic games, where you're just like running. You're constantly in like full speed dashing in a 2D game, and you can't see what's in front of you, so you have to like perfectly react to things, but you can't. That's not how you're going to play. You're just going to run into a bunch of walls a bunch of times, and the momentum's going to stop. It's just like 2D Sonic. I don't like it. And also the art is... I cannot stand the way this game looks. I know that it looks like specific 90s cartoons that people really like, but I've always disliked those cartoons, so I also strongly dislike the way this game looks. This is one of the games that is probably the lowest in comparison to how much most people seem to like it. This one's disproportionately low on my list. Most people that have played this are going to put it really high. Totally don't agree. The other games, not so much. Chia, I feel like people do like, but definitely not to the extent of this. So let's move on. I do like Pizza Mechs. I'm more of a Nintendo guy. And Sega or Konami. Yu-Gi-Oh! Cool. What's next? Is that Starfield? Oh no! Why is Starfield down here? So yeah, I tried. You know? I tried it. I got literally an hour into it. And it, again, controlled poorly. I did not like the way that it felt. To walk around, to aim, everything felt still archaic. Bethesda still feels behind, somehow. Fallout 4 felt behind 9 years ago now. And now I go to play Starfield, I'm like, hey, clearly they're not going to be... It's clearly going to feel better. Look better. Everything's going to be better. Nah. And then an hour into the game, I get put into a ship. I see all these controls in front of me, and it's like flyless ship by pushing all these buttons. And I'm like, nope. And then I uninstalled it. No, I'm good. I don't want to fly a ship. Sorry. And then just from hearing all of the negative things that other people have said about it, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to find anything. I did not play Redfall. Ice Waters. I'm not going to find anything that I like in this game. I'm just going to bail on it. So that's why it's here. Moving on to the next one. Speaking of, so we got like, I'm going to say it right now. You know what I said, what I thought I was going to do was like kind of preempt before they pop up so that people can kind of be like, oh, I wonder if it's, so including these last two and the next two, there's 4 games in a row here near the bottom that are pretty highly praised, including these next 2 games. And I don't care for them. And unfortunately, there may be one or more people that are currently here that are going to be upset by this next one. Dude, I have stayed away from Pikmin the entirety of all my video gaming because I was like, no, I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to play it. I know I'm not going to like it. Pikmin 4, I bought into the hype. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll try it. No, it was totally boring. There was nothing about it other than it like being kind of cute and colorful. Nothing about it was interesting to me. I felt nothing. I didn't enjoy moving around the maps. I didn't enjoy the little puzzles. I didn't enjoy the interaction of the Pikmin with the objects. Nothing about it did anything for me. It is exactly the kind of game that I do not like. And unfortunately, that puts it pretty low on this list. Sorry, Ice Waters. Sorry. And Graystar, I know you. I remember you popped in and you were like, "Yeah, you're playing Pikmin." Anyways, moving on to the next game. This is an unfair placement, and not for the reason that you might immediately think. I'll explain. Again, I was trying to beef up this list. Okay. Let me just say this list is going to be more credible as we go up the list. I've played this game for maybe half an hour but I watched a lot of it because Megan played it. And I just like kind of touched on it a couple times to see what it actually felt like to play. I feel like it was totally serviceable. Not, again, doesn't control very well. It just feels very basic. To me, this is how I feel about this game. Hogwarts Legacy is the Mario movie of video games. What do I mean by that? People that like Harry Potter play this game and they're like, "Oh my god, look at that. Oh, this is that thing. Oh, look at oh my god. Did you get that? Oh my god, I love that reference. Oh, that's my favorite part of that book or that movie. Oh." And that's what the Mario movie was. The Mario movie is not actually that great of a freaking movie. But as a Mario enjoyer, I watched that movie and I'm like, "Yeah! Look at all this cool stuff. I love all of this." That's Hogwarts Legacy. Not a great game. There's nothing that it does that is particularly interesting. The fighting is too easy. And it's just constantly, you're just constantly pointlessly collecting things. Like, it's not fun. It's just total fan service. And it deserves to be near the bottom of this list for that reason. But again, pretty unfair. So far, Hogwarts Legacy and Starfield and Chia are pretty unfair because all of them I played for less than an hour. Only Up, I played for about 2 hours. Atomic Heart, 2 hours. Pizza Tower, 2 hours. Pikmin 4, probably like 4 hours. Again, like I said, the beginning of this list is not... Don't take my opinion too seriously because I abandoned all of these games. Speaking of games I abandoned, let's move on to the next one. Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Now, I thought that I was going to enjoy this. This looked like, I believe this was Ninja Theory. I forget exactly. There was a whole lot of weirdness going on with like Koei Tecmo, who's publishing, who's developing, I don't know. Anyways, coming from a similar direction as Neo. I was like, you know what? Okay, maybe I liked Neo and Neo 2. They were fine, but I did not like them as much as other people. But I was like, okay, maybe Wolong is going to do it for me. It's a little bit different. No, it's another bad take on the Souls formula. Ninja Theory does not understand how to make a good feeling Souls-like game. They keep doing it, I'm going to say wrong. They're doing it their own way, but I don't like it. I don't like it. It just feels very stiff and awkward. It does not control the way I want it to, and for that reason, I gave up on it. Again, a few hours in. Also, thank you, Scion, for the sub. Subiversary. Why you didn't see it? I don't know. I don't know why you didn't see it, but thank you. 31 months. The Wolong mic. Is that when my mic was all, when I was using the older mic? Again, keeping in theme with games I barely played. Let's move on to the next one. In one of the biggest moments of FOMO ever, I bought this for basically no reason, and then proceeded to be like, you know what, it definitely is better than the first game. But it's not good. Like, I don't care to keep playing this. I realized pretty quickly that I don't care about the characters in Nickelodeon, so I don't care about this game. It's the worst purchase. It is. It's the worst purchase because it's the only one here that I bought digitally that I couldn't then get rid of. Wolong was on Game Pass. Hogwarts Legacy I did not buy. Pikmin 4 I bought physically and then sold it. Starfield Game Pass. Pizza Tower I bought and refunded. Chia on PlayStation Plus. Atomic Heart on Game Pass. Only Up. Unfortunately, I think I still have it. So that it's between Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl and Only Up for worst purchase of the year. They can have at it. Anyways, it's a totally fine video game, and I think they actually pulled off what they're trying to accomplish very well, but I personally do not care about Nickelodeon characters, and I feel like unless it's one of these games, these Smash likes, if it doesn't have video game characters as the roster, I don't care, because I just don't care about these other characters. I don't care if there's DC characters, I don't care if there's Marvel characters, Disney characters, Nickelodeon characters. Who cares? I want video game characters, because video games are the best medium. That's how I feel, and that's why it's there. I love the Mario movie. Just to clarify, Paper Mario. I think I love it. I just don't think if it wasn't a Mario movie, it's just a totally basic and whatever movie. And the same thing goes for Hogwarts Legacy. If it wasn't Harry Potter, it's a totally basic and serviceable, just whatever video game. Moving on. All right, we're out of the games that, so each of these, I tried to like categorize them within each letter, like together. So the F tiers, I'm just like, ugh, no, I really just don't think that these are good video games. E tier is like, these definitely range from whatever to they're actually probably kind of good, but if they are kind of good, they're definitely not for me. That's what E tier is. So then what is D tier? D tier is, let me just look at these games real quick. D tier is games that I think are good, but they had some issues that made them kind of not for me. I don't know. It's just another step up for me. You know how this works. What's next? Wild Hearts. You know what D tier is? D tier is the disappointments. I didn't even do that on purpose. D stands for disappointments. Look at that. Disappointments. Wild Hearts. I was very excited for this because it looked really cool, and somebody was finally trying to rip off Monster Hunter and do something cool with it. And they kind of did, but it runs poorly on PC specifically, which is where I played it with Scion. We did some co-op. And it was kind of fun. And I was like, you know what? I would actually like this game if it didn't run poorly. And it does. But I think, upon some research, it runs poorly on PC specifically, which makes me sad that I wasn't able to play it on PS5, because I think I would have had a better experience, and it would have been higher up. But then I wouldn't have had anybody to play it with on PS5, so maybe not. Anyways, disappointing. performance on PC through Game Pass. Otherwise, could have been a good game, and probably is if I played it somewhere else. What's next? Like Pizza Tower, we have a game that is disproportionately low on this list compared to what seems to be the unanimous opinion of the internet. For some reason, everyone loves Metroid Prime. I don't know why. This is my first time playing this game, for the reason being that I did not want to go back and try to play the original because I knew it would play poorly, and I would hate it. I knew I would hate Metroid Prime if I tried to play the GameCube version anytime in the last 15 years, so I just didn't do it. Went back, or when this came out, I was like, finally, I understand. No, sorry. That's what I wanted to feel. I was like, finally, I have the ability to understand. Let me clarify. I don't understand. There's nothing... This game, okay, if I were to have played it in 2001, I could see me really liking this game and then coming back to play it right now and being like, okay, it's not as good as I thought it was, but I still really like it because I have nostalgia for it. Nostalgia removed, this game is just whatever. The backtracking is just annoying. There's no other way to put it. Trying to find your way on the map is just annoying. It's way too easy to get lost. It's way too easy to not understand where you're supposed to be going in the first place. And everything else about it is just mediocre. The movement is like okay. The shooting is awful. It's obviously a lot better than, and the thing is that it's obviously a lot better than it was in its original form. And I can credit it for all that. But there's another game, technically this is not a remake, but I also look at it and I'm like, they did so much effort. They put so much effort into this that it feels like it's kind of still a remake. The greatest game of all time. It's absolutely not even at all anywhere close. No, wrong. Impossible. Impossible. There's not very many things this game does that are interesting. And I don't want to stick on it too long, so I'm going to move on. To another disappointment, but in a little bit of a different way. This one's kind of unfair. F-Zero 99. Actually a pretty fun game, but it's not an F-Zero game, so it just upsets me. And this is kind of the point where I'm hitting things where like I did find enjoyment. We're this low. There's so much more left to this list, but this is kind of like the conversion point where it's like, no, I enjoyed this game for the time that I spent with it, but also it's not an actual F-Zero game, so I'm disappointed in it, and it's pretty basic. There's not much to say here. I'm gonna move on to the next category, or next tier, I should say. This is where like, for sure, this is where the games, I'm going to stop being so negative. Or this on this game, for the most part. For the most part, not entirely. This is where we swap, okay? We're through the bad part. Fire Emblem Engage. A pretty weak entry into Fire Emblem. The story and the writing is just awkward and not interesting whatsoever. Although I am also someone who would argue that that's generally the case in Fire Emblem, having played only Awakening and Forward. I don't think that they're particularly that interesting. I play them for the fun combat. And this game does that really well, but the other stuff is noticeably bad. This is after Three Houses, yes. It is gameplay-wise, it is better than Three Houses. Everything else, it is worse than Three Houses. But I liked Three Houses more because it was more of a complete, understandable package. This game just has awkward characters, awkward writing, and it's not interesting to walk around in the little hub. Three Houses is definitely better. Even though they improve on a lot of the mechanics while you're actually fighting, which is normally, that's what I care about the most. But like I'm saying, that's not all that matters. If the other aspects are bad, it's really going to drag the game down, which is why this lands this at the bottom of what I consider the good games. It's good. That's about it. It's good. You're not going to get any more out of me. Moving on. Humanity. I actually like this game quite a bit, but again, it's purely just a puzzle game, and I don't like puzzles. So after like 5 hours or so, I bailed on it because I was like, I just want to get to the other games that I'm playing. And there's just a lot of just sitting there staring at the screen thinking that I was like, okay, I get it. I think that certain people are going to really like this. It's a super high, it's very high presentational value for sure, which I appreciate a lot because I don't know, that's really important to me in certain games. It's just very clean. I like that. And it does make you feel very smart when you solve things. I might get back to it at some point. I don't know. But that's why it's there. I'm kind of wondering if anybody here even knows what this game is. This is a game I played like last month. There's a lot of games I played last month. I was like going hard to add games to this list in the last 2 months, I should say. Trepang 2 is a really interesting shooter that apparently is like Fear, which I've never played. But to me, it's like Doom, but with slow-mo, and it's also like Shadow Warrior, if you know what Shadow Warrior is. But apparently it's made by like 4 people in Vancouver, I think, in Canada. So that was kind of cool to notice. I didn't know that until after I bought it, and then I was like, oh, that kind of makes this even more fun and interesting to play. It's obviously not that great. But it's just like super fast-paced, high-octane action. If you like shooters, just like ridiculous shooters, you'll probably find something to enjoy here. But like I said, opposite to Humanity, very low production values. There's only a few people that worked on it. It doesn't look very great. It does run well. But yeah, you can tell that only a few people made it. But I do think it's pretty cool. So shout out to Trepang 2. Cocoon made it. Counter-Strike 2. Another shooter. I had I mean, I had a good time with this, but being forced to play with keyboard and mouse, basically, I don't know. I knew it wasn't going to last very long for me, and also I wasn't really playing it with anybody. Kind of an unfair opinion to throw out here. I think that if I'm just being super objective about the quality of games, this game should be higher than this. But for my own enjoyment and what I got out of it, because it's on PC and like just because of my own biases, this is where it sits. And also, by the way, this tier is where there's a pretty significant jump now. Now we're into the definitely good games. CS players would rank it way lower. See, okay, that's going to start a whole new conversation, but I call BS on that. Just entirely. New games are almost always better. Don't at me. All right, moving on. Uh-oh. Did I not play it? That scared me. Why did that take so long? Okay, I don't know if I messed something up there. Gravity Circuit, another game I just shoved in there in the past couple months. Very cool game. I actually, let me just throw out this fun little tidbit of knowledge. I actually had like 12 more categories that I was gonna do for the awards, and then over the last, like, before I started making the video, I scrapped about 10 or 12 of them. One of them I was considering doing was like most tight platforming, and I was going to give this the win for it. Very cool game, very Mega Man. If you like Mega Man, you will 100% like this game. Apparently it's more like Mega Man X, which I have not played. I've just played the first few Mega Man games. But yeah, it's literally just Mega Man, but it controls super well. Very precise platforming, very there's like a grapple hook, and you got dashing, and you got shooting, and you got jumping from platform to platform, but it's very precise. I'm gonna nail that down. Very important. If you like precise platforming, you should definitely check this game out. It does a great job. And there's all the like power-ups that you would like, just like Mega Man, where you obtain these different power-ups and then you can use different powers. Very cool. Very good music too. Very good music. Sorry, Nintendo fans out there. I got Super Mario RPG relatively low on this list, I guess. But even though it's pretty high, also at the same time, because again, like, these are all games that I thoroughly enjoyed. There's just so many incredible games last year that this is this low. I think at the same time, it did expose a little bit how basic this game is. It does kind of knock down my opinion of it generally in my head, because I'm like, oh, this is all this game was? I don't know. Obviously, the original was, I've always had a very fond spot for it, and I think it was fantastic for when it came out. Now, it's like, it's kind of similar to Metroid Prime, where it's like, in 2023, this game is just, it's good. There's a lot of aspects about it that I like, but it's not anything special anymore. Outside of being like showing where the Mario and Luigi and Paper Mario franchise kind of really came from, and doing some of those things in a really great way still. But this is where it ends up. Another game that I liked quite a bit, Cassette Beasts. Great game. Great game that's somewhat similar to Pokemon, of course. And I think they pulled it off great. The designs of the characters are really cool. I like the exploration. The music is great. The writing is pretty bad to me. Did not care for it whatsoever. But everything else, I don't know, it's just a good time. If you like games that are kind of like Pokemon, there you go. Definitely play it. Cocoon! It made it to B tier. The only reason I played this is because it would not stop popping up in people's discussions of Game of the Year and stuff that I was watching. And I was like, all right, I feel like I'm missing something here. I gotta try it. And I'm kind of glad I did, because it's not the type of game that I would normally like. I guess it comes from some of the people that did like Inside and Limbo, which I was totally just like whatever on. I don't think that people love those games, and I'm just like whatever, they're kind of boring. But Cocoon was more interesting and more engaging with its puzzles to me. And it was very pretty. I think that did a lot for it too. I already talked about it a lot with the awards, so I'm not gonna hang on it too long. And then last, Street Fighter 6. I had quite a bit of fun with Street Fighter 6, and I think it's great. Again, if this were more of an objective list, this might be higher, because I think it's a really great fighting game. I just at some point I fell off of it because I don't like to keep playing a game and like perfect myself at it, because if I did, I wouldn't have played all these other games. Basically, the reason that Street Fighter 6 is this low is because I played all of these other games. I don't know. Like, it's great. I think they did a great job. They pulled me in. I've never wanted to play a Street Fighter until this, and I enjoyed my time with it. Now, okay, here's the real separation. This is the true separation of the list. This is where the big boys come to fight. This is where it turns into great. We go from good to just these are some real good video games. And there's so many of them because last year was so good for video games. Also, I forgot to do something. I had it written in my notes after F-Zero to do something, and I messed up.
World premiere.
The final world premiere of the night is none other than me awkwardly explaining something. I'm literally gonna read you word for word my notes. Okay? These are my notes. It's gonna be awkward to read it, but I'm gonna do it. World premiere. I'm working on a new series. Let's chat about it. Guessing game. Multiple choice. Edited beforehand. Guessing outcomes of my gameplay. As in, I will have pre-recorded videos and then I will edit in like multiple choice answers that pop up on the screen, and people will be guessing what is going to happen in the game that I'm playing. Like, am I going to beat this boss on this run? Am I going to fall in this pit? Am I going to accomplish this thing? Am I going to fail this thing? Whatever. That's my idea here. And also on top of that, what I want to add to it is weird trivia to throw in. Guess what video game song I'm singing, for instance. Or what do I deem out of these options is the correct opinion? Things that can't be looked up. Basically, trivia that you can't just copy paste to Google and find the answer, because that would defeat the purpose. Now here's the question. I posed this to GotY as my idea, and the idea was that everybody in chat was going to be competing for glory, like I used to do with the tier lists and stuff. Everybody in chat against each other, trying to earn points, earn bananas, if you will, by guessing these from this multiple choice thing, and then people being ranked for it. That was my initial idea, was for it to be competitive. So I ask, is that a good idea? Or GotY suggested, and I also had kind of thought about it, but then we kind of put it together as a different, we kind of, I don't know, kind of thought of something else, where instead of it being competitive, it being a thing where every stream there will be stakes. And the way that it would work is that I would set up beforehand, say I had like, say over the course of the stream I have 8 things that are going to have multiple choices, and everyone in chat votes. And then whatever is picked as the answer from all of chat collaboratively will be the chat's guess. And then at the end of the stream, if, say, chat gets 5 out of 8 of the things correct, or maybe, I don't know, it would depend, I'd have to figure out the numbers, but like a certain amount correct, if you get half of them correct, because there's going to be like 4 choices on each answer or something, then I have to do some sort of dumb thing, like a punishment. So I'd be bringing back punishments so that there's stakes for every stream, because then they would be their own contained thing. So those are the 2 options. And I was kind of hoping to maybe get people's opinions on which one they think would be better for this stream. Whether or not you think a competitive guessing game where you're going to be ranked, which would be harder to do, or if I should do something that's more collaborative that will have a contained experience every stream where everybody is voting as a group on things, and if you hit the threshold for amount of correct guesses as a chat, then at the end of the stream, I have to take whatever the punishment is that's set up at the beginning of the stream. So which of those 2 things, the competitive one or the collaborative one? Which one, I would like to know which one of those sounds more interesting. Would you like to be against everyone in chat, or would you like to work with chat to punish me? Those are my questions. For glory tier list is... That's your answer. Do we have any other opinions on that? I need to take a drinking break of water. I like the sound of collaborating better. Fair. I see both angles as something. Maybe I should the collaborating one would take less, because it's already going to take a lot of effort to make the videos. The collaborating one would take less effort on my end, because then I don't have to create some sort of ranking system, which is as I've experienced before, takes a lot of work to maintain. You like the idea. Which one? I mean, so I presented to you an idea and then presented 2 ways that I can convey that idea. And I don't know which way to go about it. I'm leaning to more towards the collaborative one because I'm already going to be putting a lot of effort into it, so I think it would be easier. And also, I think that we have milked the idea of chat all attacking each other a lot. So maybe we should move away from that idea a little bit. That's my thought. I'm going to leave you with that thought and be right back, and we will continue the tier list. Ranking system ends up tired eventually. I kind of agree. I think it makes more sense to at least try the other way first. So I think it's probably the way I'm going to go. All right. I am refreshed. And now we will continue the tier list. We are now in the category of greats. We're getting into the real good ones. Now, B+ is... I'm going to move myself because... that works. B+ is the biggest category, and honestly, as with most things on here, they're kind of... I tried to kind of put them in order within each tier, but obviously, like, it's a little random. And B+ tier is the biggest offender of not really being in any particular order, but even though it kind of is. So, let's move on. Getting into the really good games here. Dead Space. I really liked Dead Space. I really liked Dead Space when it originally came out, and I really liked the remake. I think they did a freaking amazing job with it. I really, honestly, don't have anything negative to say about this game, and it is this far down on the list. That's where we're at. I don't know. I don't think I liked everything about this game. I think it's a fantastic horror game. A fantastic remake. It looks great, runs great, sounds very great. Sound is probably like the biggest standout. Feels good to play. It's spooky. I mean, again, Dead Space is one of the best horror games ever, so I got nothing. It's great. Okay, I'm just gonna keep saying that. Let's move on. Remnant 2. I was a little iffy about this one because before playing Remnant 2 this year, I finally got around to trying Remnant 1, Remnant from the Ashes, and I was like kind of disappointed in it. It did not play very well, and I was a little bit concerned by that because I wanted to play Remnant 2, and I was like, hey, this Remnant 1 is not that good. What's going on here? This is exactly the kind of game that I like. It's a shooter, and it's got like Souls elements. That sounds like a perfect game for me. But Remnant 1 was just kind of whatever. It didn't feel great. 2? It does feel great, but it's it was in the Boss Awards. It's got really great bosses. They're very unique and different. It's definitely got that going for it. But other than that, I don't know. It's just I don't know. It doesn't really stand out, despite being the exact kind of mashup of genres that I would normally really appreciate. It just doesn't. It doesn't feel very special. The weapons were not that interesting. It almost like kind of feels like Borderlands a little bit, in some aspects with like the gear and like and how certain things work, but it's just not as like, it doesn't feel varied, and like the melee combat in it is just kind of whatever. But there were a lot of parts about it that I did really like. Also, I did not play it in co-op, which I think would have added to it a lot. I probably would have liked it more if I did. I will say that. I think it's really great, though. Obviously, it's very high on this list. This one, I don't know. Is this spicy? Look, this is pretty low. Okay. There's so much to say about Spider-Man 2 because, like, I'm not going to go on a rant or anything, but how do I keep this brief? Spider-Man 2 is a super well-made video game. Spider-Man 2 is beautiful. Spider-Man 2 runs perfectly. Spider-Man 2, as I said in the movement video, controls exactly the way you would want it to. I cared about the characters. I liked the way the story went. I found it interesting. I'm not a Marvel fan, so generally something being tied to Marvel or DC or even like Disney or just Star Wars, whatever, just all these different various IP, like something being tied to those things is an instant negative for me, because I don't care about any of them. So that's where I go into these games. I wish Insomniac was working on something that wasn't Marvel, but that's not going to happen for a long time, which is very disappointing. But yeah, this is just like a super well-crafted AAA video game, and I just I'm kind of like over time just appreciating that aspect less. As we get more of them, it's just like, yes, I understand this is super polished and looks incredible, but like sometimes that just kind of doesn't matter. That's like what instantly you think would matter, but it doesn't actually matter when you're playing the game. It doesn't matter. At some point, the production values just don't matter in certain games. You know? I don't know. It's a very complicated conversation to have about Spider-Man. And I guess to sum up is like the people that like when watching the Game Awards thought Spider-Man 2 was going to win all these awards, and they were like, you could see reactions of people like being pissed off that it wasn't winning, and that something like Baldur's Gate or Zelda was winning awards and it wasn't. Like that mindset of people is why games like Spider-Man are so successful and positively regarded, because like in general it makes sense. Like to the casual public, Spider-Man 2, and you could even extend this to something like God of War or Horizon. I'm not going to include The Last of Us because I think The Last of Us is particularly special. Also, and God of War is incredible. But like I think with Spider-Man 2, with Ghost of Tsushima, with Horizon, there's just this, not Ghost of Tsushima as much, but there's just this like casual presentational appeal that is like unmatched, that will attract anybody to a video game and that looks at it and go like, oh my God, this is incredible. Nothing can be better than this. But then you play it, and even in the case of Spider-Man, it plays super well. But then it's just like, when I can also play a game that's literal pixel art and enjoy it more, like there's just something there, you know? But the thing is that a casual random person that only plays GTA or whatever, and then that randomly plays Spider-Man, and that's like the two games they played this year, they're going to look at Spider-Man and be like, this is freaking the best thing I've ever experienced. This is incredible. And they're going to look at like Dave the Diver, maybe not Dave the Diver. They're going to look at like Cocoon or Cassette Beast and be like, that looks like shit. I ain't playing that. Obviously it's shit. That person really likes Spider-Man 2. I like Spider-Man 2, but it still loses to a lot of games. And yes, Cody, that does make sense. After you make a certain amount of money, it doesn't increase your quality of life. Yes, that is where we're at with video games. That's why I keep saying we don't need to keep making the expectations for games to consistently keep looking better and better, like incredible, like It's just out of control. It doesn't have to be that way. The budgets, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3's budget does not have to be $300 million. Ghost Runner 2. Similarly to Spider-Man 2, controls absolutely fantastically. What a freaking amazing game in terms of what it feels like to go from point A to point B. I gave it the award for the movement for a reason. It's one of the best controlling games ever. Put it in the same category as Neon White. Absolutely. This is an improvement on the first game. Ghost Runner 1 was great also, but Ghost Runner 2, pretty much better in every way, except it's got this awkward, like, the voice acting's pretty bad, like worse than probably almost all the games on this list so far. The acting is really awkward, but I was just like, whatever, I'm not paying attention to this. Because it just feels so good to run around and slash things and jump and dodge and teleport and just, man, if you just like moving around in a video game, this is where you want to do it. Just like Neon White. I don't think it's not quite to the, obviously if I thought it was as good as Neon White, it would be higher. Because Neon White's incredible. This game is great. But it really only excels in the category of movement. Everywhere else, it also, no, sorry. The music is awesome too. And so is the visuals. It's just like super like cyberpunk, and there's like neon glowing lights everywhere. That's freaking awesome too. There's a lot to like about Ghost Runner. It's fantastic, and that's why it's this high. Even though it seems like it might be a little low, it is very high. Also, welcome in Zep. Hey, hey, hey. What are the giveaways? I already did a few of them. There's a couple left. They are only open to people that have been subbed for at least 2 months. Not necessarily currently, but in the past, though. So far, the giveaways, the first 3 were a $50 eShop card, Hi-Fi Rush on Steam, and Dave the Diver on Steam. And we have 2 more left. We haven't gotten to them yet. Moving on to the next game. Sea of Stars. Man, what a beautiful game. Beautiful music, beautiful pixel art. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It does RPG mechanics in a great way, just like the Mario RPG franchises do, and I love it for that. It makes engaging in fights way more interesting, and it was just a great experience from beginning to end. Outside of, there were some aspects I did not like about it that kind of hold it back from being a little bit higher, in that it's got like good in the moment exploration in each area that you're in, but overall on the grand scale of the game, it's very poorly designed in terms of like being able to revisit areas that you've already been. Even though it encourages you to do so, it's very awkward to move around in the world, and that kind of frustrated me more than once. But outside of that, fantastic. Yeah, that's exactly right, Graystar. Sea of Stars, higher than Spider-Man 2. Although, like I said, to me, this B plus tier, they're not necessarily above or below each other. I didn't really order them. I did, but like, not really. But yeah, it is at the very least, Sea of Stars and Spider-Man 2 like are equally as good in obviously completely different ways. Also, I would like to point out that, as I was saying at the beginning, I only played some of these games for a few hours. Like at the whole bottom list is like 2 hours or less, and then going into the D tier Metroid I played for like 10 hours. But these other, Fire Emblem I finished, Trepang I finished, Humanity and Wild Hearts and F-Zero only like less than 5 hours. Then we get to B tier. I beat all of them. Street Fighter you don't really beat. Counter-Strike you don't really beat. But I played them both for a decent amount of time. And then once we get to B plus tier here, I think starting with Dead Space and upwards, I beat every game. Which again, this is kind of speaking to the quality of the games determines whether or not I'm going to stick with the game or not. It's just kind of how it goes. Speaking of, we got Lords of the Fallen. A little bit surprising here. I did at one point have a category called Most Surprising, and Lords of the Fallen was absolutely in it, even though I scrapped the category. This is a very weird situation because their original Lords of the Fallen by the same name that came out 10 years ago was not good at all. And now this is under a different developer. They're using the same IP. They're kind of trying the same thing again, but they did it way better. This is a solid Souls-like, and honestly, I probably would have enjoyed it more if Lies of P didn't exist, and if Lies of P did not come out the month before this game really screwed it over, because people were only picking one or the other for the most part. And people, after word of mouth had spread about Lies of P, and then Lords of the Fallen comes out, and then it's like, well, it's not Lies of P. And then this game just gets written off, which is not fair, because this is a really good game. If not for Lies of P, this is the best Souls-like game that isn't From Software. Like, I think the number 1 and number 2 Souls-likes that are not From Software came out back-to-back this year, and it's Lies of P and then this. I liked it a lot, and I could totally see reason. I've seen a couple people say they like Lords of the Fallen more than Lies of P, and that's totally valid. I don't blame them at all. That makes sense. There's a lot to love here. The dual world mechanic is really cool. They pulled it off pretty well. It's not as interesting as it could be. It's a little lackluster, but it's still like a cool try at doing something new. Persona 5 Tactica. Another game I didn't have any interest of playing until it was on Game Pass, and I was like, okay, I mean, I guess I'll try it. And I freaking played the whole thing, and it was awesome. There's a couple new characters in this game that are really cool, and they fit in with the crew very well, and I liked the progression of their stories. I really liked them a lot, better than some of the main cast members. Also, it's just, obviously, it's a Persona game, so it's very pretty, and the menus are freaking awesome, and the music's awesome, and the writing's clever and funny and cute, as always. And it's fun to play. I like the combat system. It works really well, even though it's a little different. They do some interesting things. I posted a video review of this one, if you want to know more information. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Not able to make it out of the bees, but still a fantastic game. So what I'm going to say about Super Mario Bros. Wonder is that it is probably, as far as mainline Mario games go, the most I enjoyed a Mario game since Super Mario Sunshine. I think. If I were to really think about it. I like the Galaxy games, but I didn't find them fantastic like most people did. I did not like any of the 2D Marios in that time frame. And Odyssey was really great, but I think I like this more. So I think this is my favorite since Sunshine. Super colorful, super jolly. Controls really well. That's one of the main things, is that the new Super Mario Bros. Games were just so floaty and did not feel good to play. There was nothing to move it around in them. But Wonder does it right. It's a return to form. I like pretty much everything about the game. The elephant power-up, a little weird. The power-ups are like okay. I like the drill and the bubble; those are cool. But yeah, it was just fun to constantly experience new things. You never really knew what you were going to get yourself into, and there was a decent amount of challenge to some of the extra things you had to do. So I appreciated that too. Great game. All right, we're moving on to now so those were B+ tier was, these are great games. Now A tier, we're moving on to these are spicy. We're getting real good. We're getting real good now. What do we start with? Wild Frost. Boy! Loved this. Loved this. Up until Cobalt Core happened, I was like, damn, Wild Frost is the best thing that's not Slay the Spire. Because the deck building in this game is so good, and I loved the music is awesome, the art is awesome, the progression of your deck and how you build it and how you fight, and the combat system's very different than Slay the Spire and every other card deck building game that I've played. It's very different, but it's very good. The art's super cute. Super cute. Love everything about Wild Frost. Had a great time start to finish. Highly recommended to anybody who likes card games. Please play it. Please. I beg of you. And then we got Dave the Diver. Man. I heard about this game a lot in the middle of the year when it came out. People were like, man, Dave the Diver, Dave the Diver. And I was just kind of ignoring it. Because that was around, it was before, I don't know, that was like around when Final Fantasy came out, and then we had like Baldur's Gate on the horizon, and it was just, there was a lot going on in the middle of the year, and I just kind of ignored it. And then I was like, okay, I mean, I guess I'll try it. It doesn't really look that interesting. I don't know. And man, I was dumb for thinking that. It's so fun. I love ocean life, and it's so fun to just explore the waters. There's some things, what keeps this game from being even higher, which honestly it could be if it were just the diving and the building of your like arsenal and your recipe list, and then you go and you serve the sushi and you're building out your sushi place. If it was just that, I think this game would be a little bit higher. But there's aspects of this game that are awkwardly puzzly and like feel like filler. The main story of the game feels like filler that is a distraction from the great part of the game, which is weird. And that's why I do have some issues with it. But otherwise, man, every morning I'd wake up and I'd play this for a couple hours out on my Steam Deck in the other room, and it was just a freaking great experience. Love it. Blasphemous 2. Again, a game I just wasn't even going to play, and then nearing the end of the year, I saw it mentioned a couple times here and there, people being like, this game is really good. This game's really good, don't ignore it. So I was like, okay, I won't ignore it. And yeah, it's literally, I didn't even play the first one, and I think most people think that the second one's better. Although I've seen some people go back and forth about liking certain aspects of the first one. Whatever. It's fine. Maybe I'll go and play the first one now because I really liked this. Even though going backwards is usually not the best idea. Anyways, I love this game. It's like I keep saying, it's on par with Hollow Knight. Like the way that the way the movement works, the way that the power-ups you get work, the atmosphere of the game, the level design, the art, the mood. It's very like Castlevania meets Hollow Knight, which Hollow Knight already is very Castlevania. You get it. I just think it does all of the different things at a very high level. It's up there. It's up there with Hollow Knight. It's up there with Guacamelee, the Ori games. Fantastic. I hope this game does not get ignored because it deserves more praise, and I'm just going to keep throwing praise at it until somebody plays it, hopefully. The finals! What a freaking random game to come out of nowhere and get this high up on this list. My first introduction to this game was I hadn't even heard of it, and the first thing I saw was, wow, look at this game. This is hilarious. They're using AI for the voice work. Isn't this sad? That's the first introduction to this game, and I was like, wow, that sucks. That's awkward. And then like a month later, the game comes out, and I'm like, okay, you know what? Actually, this game kind of looks kind of cool. I'm gonna play it. It looks visually cool, and then I play it, and it's literally like the best feeling shooter ever. It's so fun. I love this. It's the most fun I had playing a multiplayer shooter since Rainbow Six Siege, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. I might play it more. I don't know. I don't really get into multiplayer stuff anymore. because I just like to play so many different games that I don't really stick with one thing. But if I did, this would probably be it right now because it's fantastic. Love it. Resident Evil 4 Remake. All right, so here's the great comparison of the day. I did make that one short about this. That one YouTube short where I faked you all out, anybody who watched it. Basically, this year we had 2 games that were remade or remastered, whatever. Metroid Prime and Resident Evil 4. Both GameCube exclusives, or were GameCube exclusives. Both games that are always pointed out as like one of the best game of all time. Both of them. If not the best. Some people frequently, both of these games. Best game of all time. Best game of all time. After now having played both of them in a modern format this year, I can tell you with certainty, Metroid is nowhere near that title. And Resident Evil 4, people were correct. I know that if I went back and have played the original, I probably wouldn't have liked it that much because I have problems with going back and experiencing like old control formats. I would not have enjoyed it. But this, in modern Capcom fashion, turning this game into just pure excellent combat, just the feeling, every aspect of it. How it feels to shoot, how it feels to aim, how it feels to move, how it feels to solve puzzles, and I don't particularly care about the characters and the acting in the game. It's a little bit, it's good. It's nothing special, but everything else about it, fantastic. I can totally see how The Last of Us came to be when I look at a game like this. I already experienced that when I played Resident Evil 2 Remake, because similarly, it was really great. But this is on a slightly higher level for sure. Resident Evil 4 Remake is like on par in every way except the characters and the story with like The Last of Us, and that's a very high praise to give. But obviously in The Last of Us, the characters and the story elevate that to an entirely different level. But in terms of just like being a solid game at the heart of it, Resident Evil 4 is pretty perfecto. And speaking of pretty perfecto, how about this being my next giveaway? It's been a while, hasn't it? So let's do a Resident Evil 4 Steam giveaway. Who would be interested in opting in to that? Hookie, would you like to opt into this? I don't think you've opted into any of them. I opt in. We have Hookie opting in to Resident Evil 4 on Steam. You did opt into the first one. True. But you did not win, so you are able to opt in again. Is there anybody else here that would like to opt in? It's too scary. What? Listen. So the reason that there's 5 giveaways, and the reason 3 of them are on Steam is because you can't just purchase a la carte individual games on sale or other platforms because they all suck. Steam is the only one where I can actually buy a game. And the point of doing the giveaways with this stream is that I want to give away games that are in the stream. Like, that was the point. And that only really works through Steam because that's the only way that you can individually buy specific games that will work in various regions and I can buy on sale because I'm not going to pay full price. I'm just putting that out there. Because I don't buy anything at full price ever. Not just games, anything. So that leaves us with Resident Evil 4. And it looks like, have I made a Google Play card giveaway? No, I have not. Only not. Yeah. So is Hookie the only one opting in? Because I think it's just going to auto go to Hookie then. We're going to have another automatic opting in for your friend. Fair enough. Well, that's a 3-2-1, I believe. You're too scared. I'll pass on it, Zep says. Okay. There's one more giveaway. And don't worry, I do have, there's something going on here, okay? There's something going on here. There's a plan, slightly. Okay. Hookie wins Resident Evil 4. Bada bing, bada boom, just like that. Hookieism has won. Okay, let's move on. What's next on the list? Final Fantasy 16. Can't quite make the S tier because this game is fantastic in a lot of ways, but it doesn't feel like a Final Fantasy game in a lot of ways. It's very light on RPG. This game, it's weird. Final Fantasy 16 and God of War Ragnarok and God of War 2018 have a lot of similarities, except for some reason, the God of War games are more of an RPG than Final Fantasy 16 is, and it's a little weird. It's very weird. It's weird that God of War has that many RPG aspects thrust into them, and it's weird that Final Fantasy 16 has that many taken out of them. It's like backwards. But otherwise, man, this game was quite a romp. Like I said, the voice acting, stellar for a few of the characters. Absolutely top tier. I loved the story overall. I loved the fighting, even though it was it was too easy. It is too easy. That's why it's not an S tier game. It's just too easy. There's aspects of the game that are slightly boring. The side quests, not that interesting, but the combat and just the spectacle of this game is so high that it just it just constantly had me hyped. And the music, boy, if I did a music award, it might have won. Although I opted to not do a music award because there were so many good games with music that I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't do it. Let's move on to S tier. We're almost there. We're almost there, folks. Armored Core 6. Holy poo, boy. Man. Freaking amazing. From Software does it again. A game entirely different to obviously all this other stuff they've been doing with the Souls games. They returned to this franchise that I never played, that they have made plenty of before. Obviously, this is number 6. I think there's more than 5 other ones, though. Anyways, did not think I was going to like it despite loving From Software. I was a little concerned because if it wasn't From Software, I wouldn't have touched this game. I'll tell you that right now. But hey, I'm glad that they got me to play something like this because it was great being in a mech. Pretty wild. It's super fun to customize your mech. The scope of the game, similar to Final Fantasy 16, is like massive, and it's really cool. So I love that. From Software has everything to do with Armored Core 6 being an S tier. It's entirely their fault, in fact. Yes. And next we have Alan Wake 2. When I played Alan Wake 2, it immediately went to what I thought was going to be third place for the year. I was like, Alan Wake 2, this is number 3, lock it in. And then over time, as I thought about it, I bumped it down a little bit. But, man, I did not play Alan Wake 1. Let's get that out of the way. I tried Control. I did not like Control. I did not play Quantum Break. I did not play any of Remedy's earlier games, like I believe they did Max Payne. I'm not a fan of Remedy. Now I am. I was not a fan of Remedy. I wasn't even going to play this game. Then it came out. Everyone was like, oh my god, Alan Wake 2 is incredible. What is going on? How is this game so good? Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh boy, I got to play it. I got to play it. I can't ignore this now. And holy, like, the level of storytelling and just like mind fuckery and like I said, the atmosphere of this game is absolutely on par. It's on par in a lot of ways with The Last of Us. I think it is that good. and I'm not gonna, I don't want to talk too much about it. I don't want to spoil it, but like, Alan Wake 2 is the best interactive horror movie game ever at this point. And whatever that means. I don't know what that means, but that's what it is. So that's why it's this high, because it's incredible. Sorry, Eddie, you're wrong. Cobalt, dude, this is the last game that I played. I literally just, well, actually, Ghost Runner 2 I literally finished today, but also Cobalt Core was the last one that I bought, which I guess I technically finished also today or yesterday, maybe yesterday. Anyways, dude, Cobalt Core is so freaking good. Please play it, please. If you have the means and the ability, I think it's only on Steam. I don't think it's probably not very intensive, but if you like deck building at all or roguelikes at all, please, I want more people to play it. It's so good. I'm not gonna talk too much about it. I already did a couple times. Yeah, number 2. I've solidified. So Slay the Spire number 1 with deck building roguelikes, still number 1. Cobalt Core number 2. Wild Frost number 3, both of them from this year. And then after that, you have like Across the Obelisk and like Monster Train and Griftlands. Those are all, to varying degrees, great also. Especially Across the Obelisk would be number 4 for me. But anyways, yeah, fantastic. Seems people not shutting up about a game gets me to buy it. But to be fair, it's working for a lot of these games. Yeah. So people not shutting up about a game to get me to buy it, yeah, that would be Alan Wake, Dave the Diver, Blasphemous 2, Cocoon, Gravity Circuit to a degree. Metroid Prime, unfortunately, that didn't work out. Now did it? Anyways, okay, let's move on. Palworld is this year. Also, Palworld's in early access. It doesn't even count. Oh! The front runner for Game of the Year. Easy pick going into this year. Being like, obviously Zelda's gonna be the Game of the Year. Obviously Zelda's gonna be the Game of the Year. That was an easy pick. And I got it number 4. I moved it around a bit. I did have it, like I said, I had it under Alan Wake, but recently Megan's been playing it, and I've just been like kind of back immersed in it because she's been getting really into it, and I've just been like, you know what, this game has a lot of special to it for sure. I don't know. I don't wanna go over it too much. Obviously, this game has been talked about a ton. I love the new additions. I love Ascend. Fuse is really innovative and cool. A lot of uses for that. Like I said, I don't necessarily like building things. But just the exploration in this game, the whimsy, the wonder of this game. Zelda is always pulling off just being a glorious, just having a glorious time. They did Breath of the Wild, but better. They pulled it off. Everybody knew they were going to do it. But I feel like despite being a successor to what is considered one of the best games of all time, it succeeded in just like somehow setting another higher bar. And yes, it is crazy that it is not the clear winner for the year, considering how good it is. And with this, we have another giveaway, which is going to be another $50 eShop card. So, who would like to join in for this one? If you have won a previous award, you cannot. Unless you can, if you got a prediction right, you're allowed to go in for another one. But Emma, Cody, and Hookie did not get any predictions right. So, yeah. No eligibility. This is for a $50 eShop card. I'm in, he says. I'm in. One sec. Put me in. All right. Okay. So, what's eShop? Graystar, you're able to, yes. All right, so we got Eddie, Gray. I'm just gonna put Gray. Breloom, Max, Ice Waters. Is that it? Did I miss anybody? Speak up. We got 5 people? Is this correct? If you do not win, put you in for Hi-Fi Rush. Yeah, I'll do Hi-Fi Rush afterwards. Even if you do win, technically, Ice Waters, if you do win this, because you got a prediction right, my rule is that you can also get that. Just wait for it, Breloom. Just wait for it. All right, I guess that's everybody. Okay. Nobody spoke up. We got 5 people. Ooh, this is a nice fall colors. All right. Number 3, which is actually number 5, but that's fine. It's February? Wait, what? What? What does that have to do with anything? I always write your name as IW. I'm not writing it out. You're not colored gray. Nice fall colors. This is fall colors. What do you mean? All right. Again, I'm only spinning once. The winner of the second $50 eShop card is... It's looking like... Oh my dang goodness. iDubbbz. Rigged again, is it? Wow. Well, which means also, because Breloom had the most correct predictions, you are also going to win an additional one that is just going to be, it's going to be a $20 eShop gift card. Basically, my thought was going into the stream, if you do not end up winning any of them, I'm going to, because you got the most predictions right, give you a $20 one anyways. That was my thought process the whole time. I just wasn't saying it because I didn't want to, you know, out myself. Well, and also I didn't want to spoil that you won all of them. So Ice Waters, 50. Okay. All right, and then there's still the Hi-Fi Rush giveaway. Is there anybody else here that wants to try Hi-Fi Rush on Steam? Let me write Breloom 20. Or is Hi-Fi Rush not happening? Maybe I'll save it. I think I might save it. Yeah, Breloom, you're going to get the $20 one. I will deal with all this tomorrow. So Emma won 50. Cody won Dave the Diver. Hookie, Resident Evil 4. Ice Waters, 50. Breloom, 20. What a freaking... What a wild compilation of giveaways. In the case of this $20 one, I have not actually, Breloom. Well, thank you, Eddie. Xbox. Well, you see, the thing is, my point of this was kind of to be like, if you win a gift card from this, I would like on the honor system for you to buy one of these games. Because I wanted to just specifically pick out specific games and give those away, but I can't. Except for in the case of Steam. That was kind of the point. So I was like, okay, I'll give away some eShop cards, but you gotta buy something that's on this list, though. It's still gotta be something here. You gotta put it towards one of these. That was kind of my thought process. Unless you want to try Hi-Fi Rush and get that on Xbox, I mean. I don't know what else is on it. I mean, there's plenty of these that are on Xbox, but... Well, because you already have it. Okay. Well, see, part of the thing with the giveaways was also like I want to support some of the games. That I didn't buy. Because, like, for instance, Hi-Fi Rush, I played it on Game Pass. So I'm like, okay, I want to buy Hi-Fi Rush and then give it to somebody else. And then in the case of, same thing with, like, I wanted to do that with a Nintendo game, but I don't know. Which of these games are $20? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Let's move on. Finish the tier list up. The suspense is killing everyone. Dave or Zelda on Switch. Sea of Stars. I would say Persona 5 Tactica or Sea of Stars, or you might even like Wild Frost. I don't know. You could try a deck building game. I think that you might like it. Dave the Diver, Zelda. Yeah. Let's do the last three. Lies of P. Number 3, barely topping Zelda somehow. Oh, hello. Thank you for the raid, Uran. Just in time for the end of the stream. This tier list is filling up. Welcome on in, the urinators. How's it going? How's it going? Shout out, Uran. It's a cool dude. You all know Uran. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Shout him out. Oh, that's not going to work because I turned off all notifications. Whoops. Isn't there like there's an you can do it in Twitch, right? I don't know how to do that. I simply do not know how. Anyways, Liza P. What a surprise. When I saw the trailer for this, I was like, damn, that looks good, but is it really going to be that good? Is it going to be as good as it looks like it could be? And oh boy, it is. Totally fits in with From Software themselves. Almost indistinguishable. Not perfect, and it also adds a lot. I love the system that you use to upgrade yourself. The skill tree is really cool. The way that you like sacrifice certain things, or like, well, not sacrifice, but like the way that you build your abilities up and learn new things is really cool. Actually something they do better than From Software, because From Software doesn't really do that. And then like you have the weapon building system, and you have your arm that could do like electricity and like grapple hook. Like there's a lot of stuff in there that is better than From Software, or is not even a From Software thing at all. So that's pretty awesome. Does a great job. Otherwise, everything else, fantastic. Love everything about Liza P. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Love it because it's also like it's relatively just like new studio that came out of nowhere, and now all of a sudden it's one of the best games of the year, in a year that is stacked. So is there anyone here who did not think that these last two games were going to be these last two games? Is there anyone who thought differently? Or did everyone have this mindset after the awards at the very least? Or just generally? No, I knew that was gonna happen. That's hilarious. Eddie knew. Eddie, I remember what you said to me. All right, so we got the top two. These are the clear top two. I had to put them in a different... I had to put them in a straight up different tier because I just think that they both do so many special things. Let me just say something ahead of time here. Let me say something ahead of time. Going into this year, Divinity Original Sin 2 is one of the best games I've ever played. And going into this year, I knew Baldur's Gate 3 was happening. And not a lot of people were talking about it. And I found it kind of strange. I found it kind of strange that people didn't get into Divinity Original Sin 2 because it's not a typical CRPG. Because you can play it almost like just like a third-person game with a controller. Like Divinity Original Sin 2, which for people who are unaware is the game that Larian did before Baldur's Gate 3, just for context. I guess I should have said that. Anyways, going into this year, it's one of the best games ever made. And I was like, okay, Baldur's Gate 3 is just basically Divinity Original Sin 3. So obviously it's going to be incredible because Larian is one of the best developers in the world. No contest. Only a few compare, like From Software. So going into this year, I was like, man, this is gonna be a crazy year, isn't it? We got Zelda and Baldur's Gate 3, man. This is gonna be tough, but people are gonna sleep on Baldur's Gate, so I mean Zelda's gonna be the clear front runner game of the year. Like I think Baldur's Gate might be my game of the year. That's what I was thinking going into this year. I was like, I think it probably is going to be, but it'll be a toss-up between that and Zelda. That was my thought. And then in January, out of nowhere, some might say, literally out of nowhere, because it was dropped on the day of announcement, Hi-Fi Rush pops in out of nowhere from a developer that doesn't make any sense. It's Mikami. It's the guy who made freaking, Resident Evil. And he's done some Evil Within games. Evil Within 2 is really good. He's the horror guy. Not just the horror guy, but he's the horror guy. He doesn't make stylish, Persona-like, happy-go-lucky video games. But the second I saw the trailer, it's like, okay, here's Hi-Fi Rush. By the way, it's out today. I was like, oh, damn. What is going on here? What is this game? This game looks like perfection. This looks like the best looking video game I've ever seen in my life. What is this? Oh my god, it sounds so good. What? I gotta play this. It's literally a rhythm game. But it's an action game. How is this possible? This is incredible. I love everything about Hi-Fi Rush. You know what else I like everything about? Baldur's Gate 3, except I don't like... Let me be clear here. I do not like the D&D aspects of Baldur's Gate 3, which is wild. People are going to say I'm crazy. This doesn't make any sense. That's the whole game. How could I possibly like the game so much if I don't like the main part of the game? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to try to over-explain it. I don't like the literal dice rolls. I don't like visually seeing the dice rolls. I like for that to be happening in the background. I like the way that Divinity Original Sin 2 handled that part better. Otherwise, Baldur's Gate 3 is better than Divinity in every way because it's just like the next step forward. The voice acting is incredible, the production value is incredible, the amount of options, the scale, blah, 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 blah. You've heard all of it. So, what we have here is a classic battle of how I feel. The game from my heart, the winner in my heart, versus the winner in my head. And I had to make a decision. What's more important? The objectivity of what I think the truth is, or where my heart leads me? And the answer to that question is different depending on what game you look at on here. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, if this list was entirely based on my head, Zelda would probably be a little bit higher. Alan Wake might be a little bit higher. Cobalt Core might be a little bit lower. But if this game was entirely based on what my heart thinks, then I don't know, we might have like Wild Frost might be a little bit higher. Final Fantasy 16 might be a little bit higher. You know? So it's a little mix of both. And in the end, well, I have to listen. I was going to cop out and just say there's 2 winners. But I feel like people would be annoyed if I did that. That's my real answer. Is that I legitimately have 2 choices. They're the same for totally different reasons. They're both my winner. But I know people would be annoyed if I did that. So I thought I hit the play button, but it didn't work. Gotta give it to Baldur's Gate 3. I wanted to pick Hi-Fi Rush, but, you know, I was going to. At some point in the last, like, week or so, I changed my mind. But, like I said, it's arbitrary. The top, like, I don't know, even Liza P and Tears of the Kingdom are, like, very similar. Like, I could have put them in the higher category, whatever, I don't know. From game to game, there's not really that much of a giant gap. For any of these. And it's kind of arbitrary what exact order they're in, obviously, as with most things. So, but that's just how I feel. Like I said, going into 2023, I was like, okay, Baldur's Gate clearly, like, people are not paying enough attention to this. People are writing it off because it's CRPG, even though you can totally play it like it's not. People are not paying enough attention to this. And yeah, it just completely exploded. Very, very, very similarly to what happened with Elden Ring, which just exploded for some reason, despite FromSoft nailing it like 5 times already before that. People just didn't get it for some reason. So I'm happy for Larian that it exploded in that way. And I'm happy for Tango for putting out Hi-Fi Rush because it's insane. And I love it a lot. So yeah, this year was insane and freaking awesome in a lot of ways. The top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like 26, 27, 28 of these games, the top 28 of these games, like, highly recommended. It's just crazy. Considering last year, the 2022 one I did was like, it was the top 6 games. It was the top 6 games for 2022 that I felt about like the top 25 of these games. That's how good this year was. So yeah. Congrats to all of them. How many hours played? Huh. I wonder what would be the highest. I mean, it might still be Baldur's Gate. Yeah. I think Baldur's Gate would still be number 1 if that were the case. Although I played Cobalt Core for like 40 hours already, which is pretty crazy. All right. Well, thank you all for watching. This was crazy. Yeah, I mean, I want to do more video editing. If anybody wants me to edit a video for them, hit me up. That was fun. I enjoyed making this a lot. So hopefully you had a good time. Hopefully you liked the first video that was highly edited, and then the second one wasn't quite as highly produced, but you know, still pretty cool. I had a good time making it. I had a good time presenting it. Had a good time playing a bunch of guessing games. Not around much. Been the best stream ever. You know what? Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm still sitting on a Hi-Fi Rush code. I got to figure out what to do with that. Maybe I'll find somebody else that is a good person to receive that. I appreciate that, Graystar. This is the most effort I put into a single stream, definitely, ever. Like, by far. So, it's good to hear that. I can't continuously do this every time, obviously. But I do want to have more highly produced streams, which is why I said what I want to do better than the Game Awards. Heck yeah. It's too bad nobody interrupted me at the end there. It's like, Bill Clinton. Somebody should have done that. Megan could have done it if she was really thinking. And like somehow pulled that out of her ass. Which I don't even know if she knew that happened. That would have been the funniest thing ever. Unironically, better than the Game Awards. I mean, listen, that's what I was trying to accomplish, so I'm glad I did. Anyways, like I said, what I want to do is either every week or every other week, I want to do a more highly produced stream where I have like a guessing game on stream, and I want to get chat and be more interactive with chat. And what I'm probably going to do is test out the collaborative effort. While I have everyone captive, I'm going to try to re-explain it in a shorter way. What I want to do is have a thing where I'll have like gameplay of me playing a game, and I will pop up like multiple choice, and I have people guess what's going to happen, and also do like these weird like trivia things. And I want to have chat versus me, basically. And it's going to be cool. And then at the end of the stream, if chat gets enough questions right, you're all going to vote on answers. And if chat gets enough answers right, then I have to receive a punishment of some sort that is noted at the beginning of the stream. So that's my plan. We're going to try that out. It's not going to be ready now. Also, well, it's not going to be ready for a bit, because also next week, again, remember, I will be at GotY's, and we will stream a lot. And we're going to probably play Elden Ring. And that's going to be fun, because I have been itching to return to the old Elden Ring. So look forward to that. There's probably going to be a lot of daytime streaming, which some of you can't attend, I understand. But it's going to be some daytime, some nighttime, morning, who knows.
Bill Clinton!
What? Did you just look it up? She just said she didn't know what that was, and then she busted in and yelled Bill Clinton. Longer than the last Call of Duty campaign. I mean, yeah, kinda. Well, there you go. Man, I was so nervous today. I don't know why. I didn't really think there was anything that was actually going to go wrong. Made it up based on information. Okay. Great. Great job. Pulled it off. Basically 1 for 1 with what happened. I appreciate greatly everyone hanging out today. This was a lot of fun. I wish I could do things like this more, but obviously there's no way for me to... Oh, I didn't play Modern Warfare 3. That's why. Anything that's not on here, I didn't play. There's a lot of games that I didn't get to, like Cyberpunk, Phantom Liberty would probably be super high on this. What do you mean by that, Graystar? Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty would probably be really high on this. If I played Diablo 4, it might be in like B tier, I'm assuming. There's a few other games that I didn't get to, but whatever. Couldn't get to all of them, obviously. Not enough time in the day. Anyways, I really appreciate everybody being here. Look forward to you possibly joining more streams in the future. I'm going to try to be more intentional with what I'm streaming instead of just streaming random stuff. Like I said, I want to do more of like a show type thing. Yeah, Cyberpunk's super good, and I really want to play the expansion. I know it would definitely be high on this list. What's going on here? Dude, look at this guy. Kinoth? Kinoth? Okay, we gotta raid Kinoth. Look at this guy. He's streaming. He's streaming a spooky game. He's such a baby, too. This is gonna be great. Show some love to Kinoth. He's been a huge supporter of this stream for a long time, and he's awesome. You all know him. He's a funny guy. We're gonna raid Kinoth. Please show some love, and yeah, I will see you. I guess later in the week I'm gonna stream again. I don't know what, but but then I will see you next week, streaming from GotY's as long as everything goes well and it works. But thank you all for attending. Good night. What? What are you saying what to? Do not say that? I don't know. I'm just, yeah, it will work. 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 Did I forget to do anything? No. I don't think so. Anyways, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's fucking go. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Oh. Oh, shit.